Shine bright like a diamond.
Wasn't what I was talking about.
We're men, and we're not afraid to say that we love other men.
What up, G?
My life is nothing I thought it should be and everything I was worried it would become, because for 50 seconds I thought there was monsters on the world.
What Augean stable of misery do you live in if you fantasize about driving a bus or sitting on a bench? What's next, a breakfast eating simulator? Oh, careful, not to burn your digital toast. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to go play an office simulator. Oh, no wait, that's my job.
Whoa, I think I just figured something out, Beavis. What? This sucks. Yeah, it really sucks. This sucks more than anything that I've ever sucked before.
Say no for an answer. There's no
Can I see more white women getting clotheslined, please?
People don't understand. People don't understand. People like me. 'Cause these eyes can see right through you. Don't be surprised.
So Snoop Dogg wins the match because Shane McMahon blew his knee out.
Damn, that was bad, bro.
People don't understand. People don't understand. No, people don't understand. People don't understand. No, people don't understand. People don't understand. People like me.
Howdy, friends. How's it going? We are back here for another episode of the Barron podcast. It's episode number 90. We're rolling up here on 100 very, very quickly. And joining us here, I have a regular. I don't want to call him a good friend, but he's a regular. Then we also have two new faces who you guys have seen. Well, I mean, Mark has been here pretty times before, but I'm not sure about Mr. Mike S. Miller, who's all here. So let me go ahead and introduce everyone here to the show. Orange Hat. I see you got a cabbie hat going tonight. Is that
It's an Irish newsboy hat.
Okay, I was just thinking New York cab driver, so I thought that's what you were going for there. But
Well, they were Irish at first. So, yeah.
fair enough. The Indians took over, and then that became a whole thing. Also joining us here tonight is our good buddy Mark with a C. How you doing today, Mark?
What's going on, man? Thanks for having me on. It's a pleasure to be here. What's up to the chat?
Oh yeah, well, we'll get to those rowdy individuals here in just a second. Then our good buddy making his barroom debut, Mike S. Miller. How you doing today, Mike?
Hello, I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing pretty well. We're here, like I said, episode 90. It feels like I just started this podcast a couple weeks ago, and then it's been over 2 years. So, like I said, pulling up on episode 100, and man, we do hit episode 100, and we have to start like replaying all of our like best moments. It's gonna be there's gonna be some very rough ones on there because yeah, the production was not very good for the first 8 or 9 episodes. I can tell you that much for experience. But we'll also have some people who will be joining us here, trickling in throughout the course of the show. Obviously, Rick will be here a little bit later on. Hopefully, our good buddy Paulie the Latino Slant can join us here tonight because I know he has a lot to talk about the Scream situation. But before we get into that, let's go ahead and get into the people who are in the chat with us right now. We're live on Rumble, YouTube, and on X at the moment. I got Kurt 57 over there on our Rumble side saying what's up to everyone right now. Obviously, you got Orange Hat will be speaking to you guys in the chat throughout the course of the night. Neil Zoic once again with another question for us, or series of questions for us, saying, howdy Barroom crew and the good folks in the chat. Fun question: original versus reboot of Planet of the Apes. Would you rather watch the OG pentology? We talked about that right before we went long, or the reboot trilogy, which is the recent movies. If you had to pick which Planet of the Apes movies are better, I'll start with you, Orange.
I like the Caesar trilogy better than the originals. I mean, I do like the originals, but I do like the Caesar trilogy better than the originals.
I can't disagree with that. I do kind of like the Caesar trilogy a lot better now. I don't know what direction they're going on for this new film, but I mean, the ones beforehand were objectively much better movies. Mark, what do you think about this? Which one would you pick?
Definitely the OG, man. It's like that was to me like a Twilight Zone type of situation. You know what I mean? Like it had it had things that you didn't expect. The new one, everybody knew what was going on. You knew what you were getting. And of course, it benefits from the updated special effects and all that stuff. But the concept, the actual concept, was freaking terrifying in the OG one. And I think some of the social commentary got lost as well, you know, moving forward.
Yeah, I agree with that a lot. Mike, what would you pick out of this choice?
I would pick the Planet of the Apes and Escape from the Planet of the Apes. The rest of the series, they didn't have the budget. They didn't have the actors. I mean, it just wasn't the same thing. But those two are prime cinema. And then the new ones as a whole are just, you know, functionally better executed films. But as far as like quality of storytelling, genre, everything, those two, Escape and the original Planet of the Apes, those are the freaking best, man. I love the first one so much.
I mean, like I said, look at Charlton Heston, Roddy McDowell, Kim Hunter, I think it was. I mean, bro, I don't know if to me anyway, you just can't top that. But you know, I mean, I like the new ones. I like the updated ones too. It's just that if those didn't hit the way they did, we wouldn't get these new ones. And I don't think the new ones, if you had released them earlier as they are, would have produced the legacy that we have today.
Yeah, and if you start trying to throw, I mean, all of the new ones have a consistent level of quality because I think the budgets got bigger. But for Planet of the Apes, the budgets got smaller film after film. So that by the time you got to Battle for the Planet of the Apes, they're all just like wearing Halloween masks, and it's like the tech went down so far. Just as the further along you got, it's hard. That's why I stick to those two out of the whole series.
Yep. And we have a bonus question here. Obviously, Akira Toriyama passed away last week, and that was a big story going around the horn. So he asked the question here, what was your favorite moment or favorite of his work from Dragon Ball franchise, Dragon Quest, Chrono Trigger, Dr. Slump? Just basically tells anyone your favorite Toriyama moment. Like I said, I've said this many times before. I'm one of those weirdos that unironically loved Dragon Ball GT, and it got so much crap when it came out, and because it wasn't exactly like Dragon Ball Z. It was kind of fitting the mold of the original Dragon Ball series rather than Z, and obviously Z was super popular, so people didn't really like that transition period. But I think after Super, I've been completely vindicated on GT. But I'll go ahead and flip this one over to you. What do you think, Orange? Your favorite Toriyama moment?
Honestly, Gohan versus Cell when he gets pushed over the edge at 16 or Android 16's death, when he starts unleashing his power and goes ape shit on the Cell Juniors, that's like peak Dragon Ball Z. Because it introduced a lot of the world building. It also finally brought to the forefront the culmination of Gohan's hidden abilities.
It's probably the last big character moment you had in that series too, because like I said, the Boo saga, and I've said this many times before, the Boo saga to me it's just a complete clusterfuck that just seemed like it went on for like 3 years. And
the Boo saga was bad, but also did give Vegeta his final, or it gave Vegeta vindication.
Yeah.
I mean, he finally matured to the point where he was able to accept that he will not ever get
that
as
he was
strong
basically
as
Batman. I mean, he was basically Robin to Goku's Batman.
Essentially, yes, but actually, no. He's more Red Hood to Batman because, well, he'll kill where Goku will hold back.
Yeah. Mark, what do you think? Favorite Toriyama moment?
I couldn't tell you, bro. It's like when I got into Dragon Ball Z, it was because somebody gave me the box set, to watch. It was already a phenomenon, and that show has been on forever. You know what I mean? But for me, it was basically just the realization of what it was. When I started watching it and I realized, holy crap, they are literally beating people to death on this show. You know what I mean? I was like, yo, that is deep. I like it. You know what I mean? Like, and then I realized that there were deeper underlying themes. So I really respected the creation, but I only got so deep into the lore. Now, my son is religious with it. You know what I mean? I introduced it to him and he never put it down. So, I think afterwards I'm going to ask him what his favorite moment was because he's got a bunch of them, I'm sure.
Yep. Mike, what do you think?
Couldn't care less.
So we'll just leave it at that. All right, who we got here? We've got Dante joining us here as well with the Fire and Flames, listening in on the chat. We got Boba Fett joining us here. Going to read. I love that part when he's singing the Nirvana song. He just goes Ree! Like I never stop laughing every time I hear that part. So, who else we got here? We got our good buddy Alex versus Evil saying John China. Yeah, we'll get to John China later here tonight. That should be a fun topic for us all. Vanya saying hello, friends. Joining us here tonight as well. Drax the Clown, like I said, Boba Fett's here. Drax saying that Batista was always better than Cena. Well, we'll get to Cena here shortly. I think we definitely have to get into a conversation with him. And then Kate also joining us here tonight saying, let's go 90. And then Jacob saying that we need to go all out for number 100. I haven't exactly figured out what I'm going to do for number 100. If it's just going to be like an extravaganza or if we're just going to go back and watch, compile some of our old moments throughout the show. I think maybe that'll be a better format, but we'll figure it out by the time we get there. The new movies, Double Fett saying the movies at least didn't rely on twist endings.
Well, it didn't rely on twist endings. I mean, you got to look at the writing in these things. There was writing there. It's not like they just threw in a twist ending like bow. If you're talking about the, the famous Statue of Liberty thing, that's one of the greatest moments in cinematic history. That wasn't just a, I don't know. Everyone's got their opinion on it, but I really do feel like it's a classic for a reason. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't just some cheap one trick type of movie there, man. It's like, come on now.
I mean, don't get me wrong. The originals always will have that legendary quality to them. It's just that with the technology that has come forward, plus Andy Serkis and a lot of other people doing great jobs with the motion capture, I just feel that they actually were able to tell the genesis of the story a lot better than those terrible sequels from the originals. Because Dominion of the Planet of the Apes, when Caesar finally steps up and starts taking over and basically says he's going to enslave humanity, it's like, yeah, at first they just wanted to be free, man. Then it turned into a
that's the original ending, though. That one didn't make it to theaters, right? They had to dumb down the ending, and Caesar had to give that other speech where he's like, "Oh, we should all just get along."
I saw the original ending where he said, and the female looks up at him and says, no. It's like, no, okay, fine.
Boba Fett said, can we at least agree that the Burton one sucked? I guess are people not big fans of the Burton series?
It had its moments.
Which Burton what?
The one with Mark Wahlberg.
Oh, yeah, that sucked.
I didn't get into that. Yeah.
Yeah, that we don't talk about that. That doesn't exist. In another universe, it exists, but this is the right universe that doesn't exist in.
Yeah, that's like the multiverse version of Planet of the Apes.
Doveth
That's like
also says that the sequels of the original Ape series kept trying to top the twist from the first film. They literally blew up the planet at the end of the yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Alpha Omega nuke. It's like, fuck you,
they were
bastards.
going too far. I mean, there is no topping. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but the first time I saw that, with the Statue of Liberty, it terrified me as a kid. It's like I was watching this, I don't know, on one of those stations that play all these repeats and stuff, and I'm watching this, I'm invested in it, and they're riding along the beach and everything, and there's the Statue of Liberty. I was like, oh my God, it's like, why didn't anybody warn me about this, So, I mean, that hit me hard, man. So, I really cherish movies that can do that, that can give you that moment where it hits you in the gut and it just stays with you. So, yeah, man, the OG is always going to be, that's going to be in my joint,
Unfortunately, that was ruined for me because I saw Spaceballs before I saw Planet of the Apes.
Drax the Clown says rips the piece to Toriyama. I know Kurt over at or I guess I say Keith because he wants to be referred by his real name. Keith over there at Rumble saying that this is better than TV. I pretty much agree with that as well. Neil Zoic said, "You maniacs, you blew it up." Speaking of maniacs, we have to invite this guy onto our show next, Mr. Eddie Brock. How you doing there, Eddie?
What is up? I wanted to point out that King Kong still ain't got nothing on me.
Mm-hmm. And that's before he got shot by the Russians.
Right.
But, yeah, we got a bunch of things to talk about here tonight. As like I said, people are going to be trickling on throughout the course of the show here. But let's start this off semi-hot because this is a story that hit my radar over the weekend. And it's about Dakota Johnson. Now, we've been chronicling the whole thing with her and Madam Web here for the last couple of weeks. When we first heard her talk, I think it's safe to say we thought that she was a complete and utter airhead. And that's probably the safe assumption when you look at a lot of the things that she said in the media. But then I started hearing kind of her criticisms and kind of hearing where she stood on a lot of things. It's like, okay, that seems like a sensible criticism to have about movies and the state of Hollywood. Because I mean, let's be honest, we have the exact same views here too. And then she started doubling down on things like AI and kind of how the way Hollywood tries to craft things based on algorithms. And I was like, oh crap, I thought this person was just a complete dunce, and turns out she's actually slightly smarter than I give her credit for. So not bad for a nepo baby, but it seems like that Sony is not very.
Melanie Griffith's daughter.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep. And Ron Johnson, right?
Don
Johnson. Don Johnson.
Ron Don Johnson.
Sonny Crockett. Miami Vice, baby.
But it looks like she's gotten some heat with Sony because Sony's not too happy about the fact that she's been making multiple statements over the last several weeks about this film that has absolutely flopped with audience. I believe this is probably the lowest drawing superhero film they've ever done, which is saying a lot. I mean, we gave Morbius so much crap, but here we have a film that's been out for 30 days officially starting today, and it's only made $97 million on an $80 million budget in several weeks, and it pretty much got crapped on almost immediately when it came out. So Dakota Johnson, who has been promoting this film, or promoting this film, quote unquote, has said a lot of things that has made Sony very, very unhappy, to the point where they're now potentially either blacklisting her or throwing her under the bus for the film's failures here. So let's kind of get into this story. We all know that I was actually thinking 2 weeks ago when we were talking about this, some Hollywood insider, maybe a publicist, was trying to downplay some of the things that were going on with Dakota Johnson because she was making a lot of comments utterly burying this movie beyond oblivion. But then they were trying to say, oh well, you guys are just taking some of the things she's saying out of context. Well, then she just kept talking, kept making things worse, to the point where they can no longer deny exactly that there's a rift between these two. So now we're at the point now where Sony is like, hey, look, you're the star of this film. We were supposed to try to use this to build to other feature films. You're going around telling people that you're not going to do superhero movies anymore. So it's like you're not helping your own cause here. But there was rumblings on social media for weeks that Johnson had been very unhappy about the creative direction of this movie, that she had signed on for the project. Basically, she even came out and said that, hey, look, the film that I agreed on, the script that I was given when I signed on for this movie was not the movie that we saw in theaters, and probably wouldn't have been a part of it if that was the case. She even made other comments saying that she hasn't seen the movie, even though she went to the premiere for the movie. She admitted that she snuck out, didn't watch the film. She said that she probably won't watch the movie.
Your own movie.
Yep. She said she probably won't watch the movie, and then she doesn't know if she'll even see it someday. So that was a pretty strong statement there. I think she even went on to.
Hold on. I'll take a breath. This
Okay.
cracks me up because in the age of social media, this is a thing. But I remember it was like 97. I read this article, interview with Harrison Ford. By 1997, Harrison Ford had still never watched any of the Star Wars films.
Mm-hmm.
But that's like a thing, that's like a Hollywood thing that actors do. They spent 30 weeks putting this thing together. I mean, they really don't want to sit through the whole thing either. You know?
Yeah, but it's like if there was social media back then, and you found out.
Oh no, yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean? Han doesn't like Star Wars.
He's like, I don't care. I don't want to watch
That's
it.
definitely against the Prime Directive.
I mean, people who go up to Harrison Ford, it's like, dude, Han Solo. He's like, yeah,
grow up.
And he absolutely despises those people. I know that for a fact. But
he would much rather talk about 6 days, 7 nights.
Oh yeah, who would
he'd rather talk about Indiana Jones. It's like, dude.
Yeah, I mean that's weird
if it was
too.
Me personally, I'd just go up to him and be like, "You're a good actor." Shake his hand. That's it. I'm not the kind of person that fanboys.
Mm-hmm. That starts crying uncontrollably.
He probably want to be one of the few people I would fanboy over because he this is dumb, but he looks like my dad, and my dad passed away, but it's like every time he's on the screen, it's like, it's my dad.
I mean, I'm willing to bet that Harrison Ford's the kind of guy that will literally be like, "Oh, you're a fan? Name one movie that is not Star Wars or Indiana Jones or Air Force One that I was in."
That was good. That did star Shia LaBeouf. But we could have that conversation on another day. But Daily Mail here reports that Sony executives believe that Johnson publicly dragging the film is taking no responsibility for its failure, saying that there are a lot of people at Sony that are questioning her star power and how she reacts to this failure will likely come back to haunt her. One inside source says, and she says that not every movie is going to work, but a lot of hard work is put even towards the bad movies, and when your star shits on it, it's a bad look. So it says that Dakota is being looked down on over her talk of the film because everyone in production is thinking, what if the movie was still the same, but it was a box office gem, so that she would be talking about the sequels, probably praising herself over its good fortune. So they're not happy about the fact that the star of this film is one of many people who are crapping all over. I think they were kind of expecting her to try to defend this movie, and none of the stars of this film is trying to defend this awful film, and nor should they, the way that I believe, but she even made, like I said, she made the proclamation that she's probably not going to do another superhero film again. She said that she hasn't watched the movie, has no plans of watching the movie. She didn't criticize executives by making movies by committee. She's criticized the script. I mean, like I said, it's been going on for well over a month, and I guess the studio has finally caught up to the fact that, hey, our actress is not helping our efforts to recoup our money. But then again, you could say the film didn't help their efforts to recoup their money as all. Johnson later wrapped it up by saying that it was a learning experience for her. Of course, it's nice to be a part of something. It's not nice to be a part of something that is ripped to shreds, but I can't say that I don't understand. That's pretty much the death blow, which he was talking about, the negative reaction towards the movie. He says that films are made by a filmmaker and a team of artists around them. You cannot make art based on numbers and algorithms. My feeling has been that audiences are extremely smart and executives have started to believe that they are not. And she said, then she even talked about AI a little bit here, saying that, audiences will always be able to sniff out BS. Even films that starting to be made by AI, humans are not going to want to effing see those films. So, I mean, I personally don't have any problem with what she said here, but I can understand why Sony as a company is not very happy about the things that she's been saying over the last few weeks. So, Mark, I'll start this one off with you. What do you think about Dakota Johnson's criticism of this film? And do you think that Sony is right to be upset about the things she's saying publicly?
Yeah, the hell with Sony. What I think that she did was she went against the narrative where you usually, when this happens, you're supposed to blame your audience. If you stick to the script of what Hollywood's been doing over the last 5 to 10 years, you're supposed to say, oh, well, the audience was too misogynist. It was full of some bitter men who didn't want to see the movie. Like, you're supposed to dump on your audience. You're not supposed to actually say that, oh, the audience is too smart for what these studio executives are trying to do. Which is what she did. That's the no-no right there. That you laid an egg. If you're Sony, I mean, I got to figure that they went through test audiences, all of this stuff. It's like they knew that this was crap before they even released it. So this comes as a surprise to nobody. It's just because she's telling the truth. Now that they're upset about this, they got a little bit of egg in their face. And like I said, the plan B, the lifeboat, is that you're supposed to now put the spin on this, that it's the audience that wasn't ready for this particular movie. And she didn't do that, so she can't play ball. She might find herself being blacklisted now.
Yeah, and a lot of people were comparing this to the situation with Josh Trank. I think Eddie, me and you talked about this over the weekend about if you look back at the Fan Four Stick movie, where the week that film came out, director came out and basically said that the studio interfered in the film, that this is not the movie that he wanted to make before anyone saw it, buried it publicly, and his career never recovered. Like they absolutely 86'd him faster than you could possibly say bye-bye. And there's this possibility here that you could be looking at the same thing with Dakota Johnson, because I looked at her upcoming project. She has one movie that I believe is in the rumor stage, not even in the pre-production stage, but that's pretty much the only thing that she has going on right now. They can easily yank that one away from her. And then next thing she knows, she doesn't have any upcoming projects in Hollywood. So what do you think of the way that her and Sony are both handling the situation right now?
Well, first off, Sony is just being a bunch of no good nicks about this whole thing. I mean, they understand. First off, she's absolutely right if she says that movies shouldn't be made by committee. There's no reason why any story should be made by committee. It should be, any movie should just be a centered group of people trying to create a film, right? It shouldn't be a whole bunch of boardroom meetings trying to figure out what kind of check boxes need to be made in order to get this movie done, in the right kind of context and in the parlance of our times and such. So, I don't know. I think a lot of this actually has a lot to do with the backlash that she had with her falling out with her agency. She kind of went over with somebody who's a little against what the Hollywood system really wants to push at the time or at the moment, and she's just really trying to hold her own against a big giant mega corporation who's trying to tell her what to do. So I give her props for that. I don't know if she's going to be black. She might be blacklisted for a while. I mean, this isn't good. This isn't a good look when you're not defending the movie that's failing miserably. But I don't know. I honestly think she might be preparing herself for the new line of Hollywood coming, the AA movie instead of the AAA movie.
Hey, maybe that's a better out for her. I mean, at this point, I mean, you would think that, someone who has famous parents probably knows the industry better than anyone else. And maybe if she's made the conscious decision that this isn't exactly for her, maybe going a better route is better in the long run, even though that's saying that, yeah, you're not going to be in the in club anymore. But we'll talk about people who try to get into the in club later on in this show. Mike, what's your take on this story?
Well, I kind of gave it already. Sorry for interrupting, but yeah, that's I mean, good for her for being honest. I mean, people who will say what they're told to say because they're afraid they're not going to get their next job. I mean, that's most people, right? So somebody who's actually willing to stand up, speak truth, and say, look, they bait and switched me on this project, and if you're not going to give me any more work because I'm not going to lie about it, then say la vie. Go work for Daily Wire.
Hey, maybe her and Gina Carano going to team up for a movie.
Right. There would be a superhero buddy cop movie I'd watch.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know they tried to do a female Bad Boys thing on Fox a few years ago, and that was just dreadful. So, no, maybe we can get Gina Carano.
It's two white chicks, though. That might work.
That's why it could only be made at the Daily Wire. It's two white chicks.
Right.
Well, I mean, it'd be like The Heat, or like that movie with Reese Witherspoon and Sophia Viagra.
Yeah.
Viagra? You mean Vergara?
What's her last name? Sorry, it's late.
I love Sophia Viagra.
I mean, hey, that was a great slip.
Sofia Vergara is basically human Viagra.
Kind of has the same effect, right? Yeah.
Sophia Viagra.
Yeah.
Yeah, who was it she slapped that one time because they were making some sexist comment to her and she just straight up slapped him in the face?
You don't mess around with Latina woman. That's what they do if you try.
I'm gonna look that up.
I can't,
especially the Colombian ones.
Right.
No, they slap me.
They'll put a hit on you.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they've had female buddy cop movies before with arguably better people. The Daily Wire could probably do some kind of knockoff one.
I'll shoot this one over the orange hat because Neil's always asking here, do you think that this film is going to end up ruining a lot of people's careers like Batman and Robin or Fan Four Stick? I don't think that any of those movies necessarily ruined those people's careers. Like, if you look at like Fan Four Stick, like Miles Teller's done pretty good. Like Michael B. Jordan still shot to superstardom despite that film. Kate Mara is always going to be around and stuff like that. So obviously it was the director who publicly buried the movie. His career got completely nuked. But with this film, and like I said, Sydney Sweeney's star is already on the rise, even though she was attached to this terrible movie. I don't think that this film's going to hurt her any. Like I said, it really just depends on, like I said, where Dakota Johnson goes from here, and just how angry the industry, how angry the club truly is at her. But what's your take on this thing?
I don't think that people's reputations or careers are going to be tanked, but I will give Dakota Johnson props because, as Mark says, she went against narrative, but also she explained, when I signed on for this movie and they made that movie. I was duped. And not only that, Sony is still not willing to acknowledge the fact that they did a bait and switch with their marketing. Technically, they can actually be sued because if that thing across the pond, that lawsuit over Ana de Armas actually went through, people can sue Sony for false advertisement. You're saying that, oh, these characters are in this movie and whatnot. They're literally in less than a minute. But going back to Dakota Johnson, she probably thinks that she can handle all this stuff because she is considered Hollywood royalty. She's got Hollywood nobility. And the fact that she's actually willing to stand up to Sony, it's like, maybe you guys ought to listen to her because people are actually agreeing with her. People are actually saying, she's making some good points. You guys suckered her in, told her this movie was going to be one way. It got reshot, reshoot, rewritten, and all that other junk. Not only that, Sony, you kind of were pushing characters that nobody really cared about or knew much about unless they are deep diving comic book fans. I mean, nobody knows anything about Madam Web or Anya Corazon or any of those other ones. The only reason why I know about at least one of them is because she was in a game I played back in 2012 to 2016. And that's the only reason I know about one of those characters. And Madam Web, she was a decrepit old lady in the Spider-Man animated television series back in the 90s. That's the only reason why I know of that character. But taking somebody who, like Dakota Johnson, and it's like, that ain't enough of a draw to get anybody to care for this film. I mean, yeah, she actually did a decent job in the 50 Shades movies. I did reviews for them. And honestly, her acting was decent. I have no objections there. But when it comes to this, if she's willing to call out the movie itself and it's like, this isn't what I signed on for, then maybe they do need to have a little bit of retrospective and take a good look at themselves. It's like, you're canning the movie, you're trashing the movie that you were in. It's like, it was a movie that I wasn't aware that I was going to be in because you made a different movie than the one I signed up for. So yeah, you think I'm just going to blindly shill for it? Absolutely not. You made me think one thing, you made me do another. That makes me look like a hypocrite. So how else are you expecting I'm going to freaking react? So yeah, I am going to duck out of this movie. Katie Mara also ducked out of the Fantastic Four movie. She hasn't seen it, or her Fantastic Four movie. But it's like, really, I don't blame Dakota Johnson in the least for saying what she's saying because she's willing to say it. And yes, it's against the narrative. Now, are they going to try blacklisting her? You know what? If they do, that's just the way it is. But I guarantee you, people will pick her up because she stood against the big corporations.
Yeah, I'm trying to think about how much money was involved with that Fantastic Four. So the Fantastic Four movie from almost 10 years ago was $120 million, and that one drew 168 overall worldwide. Like I said, Trank's career was dead after that one, based on what he said. This one didn't spend as much, but it also didn't make as much either. So, like I said, Sony's in a weird position here because they're trying to do their own Spider-Man universe outside of the MCU, and really outside of one Venom movie, it hasn't been successful like at all. I know they got another Venom movie coming out later this year. They just announced they moved that one up. They still have that Kraven the Hunter movie coming up as well, and it's like, I don't know how many people do you expect are going to be excited about this, because now you have at least 3 films that are so bad that you guys have released over the last several years that they become memes. Like you had Morbius, now you have whatever the hell Venom 2 was supposed to be, and now you have Madam Web, and you're not building a good reputation with the audience with all these films you're producing right now. So they're in a tough spot, and they can't sit there and be upset because Dakota Johnson won't allow herself to be thrown under the bus for this film, knowing that, like I said, keep in mind, she fired her agent, I think, like 2 days after the trailer came out, because the trailer got absolutely roasted. And we remember we played the video about her not understanding why people were laughing, at that whole scene in the movie. I think she knew. I think she didn't want to come out and just say that, yeah, that was an absolutely terrible scene. I can't believe they put that in the film. But I think she's well aware that this is a steaming pile of crap, and she probably wants nothing to do with it. So any final thoughts about this one before we jump over to our next story?
Sydney Sweeney.
Yeah, let me just point out too. I'm sorry. Let me just point out too is that her commentary wasn't just about this movie; it was about the industry also. So I think that might jeopardize her as well, because other people are looking at that too. Like she very strongly spoke out. I mean, she said it's not just big budget films, but she says she's afraid that it's also the little films as well, and she's right. Hollywood has become so politicized right now. You have to have the right mindset. You have to have the right politics. It's not just about what you say. It's also about what you believe, how you vote, publicly, and things like that, where you fall on different issues. Like, so much of it is like controlled so tightly now that it's very easy to get blacklisted or canceled within the industry, because all you have to do is just think independently, and guess what? That's what your audience does, but that's what they're afraid of, because Hollywood is really about conditioning right now. It's about influencing people so they don't like for their stars to be encouraging independent thought. That's always going to be a danger to them. So she kind of put the red flag up on herself. We can respect her, I certainly do, but career-wise, that could be a problem for her.
And she has the integrity to still say, knowing she probably will take a hit career-wise. Now, here's the thing, folks. I called this out a while back. When Hollywood found out that, I have to touch on this because it is relevant. When Hollywood found out that Donald Trump was running for president, they revolted against the people. They said, if you're going to vote for this person, we're going to punish you. And they started making these heavy identity politics movies. They started trying to do political statements in counter to the American people, instead of they started trying to preach the American people to force them to go along with their narrative, and it didn't work. So yes, with this new election coming up, you might want to batten down the hatches, because it looks like Hollywood might start doing the very same thing again, because they're like, oh my God, if you guys are going to vote for this man, then the fuck with you. It's like, except here's the thing. We already realized just how fucked up you are. We are looking for better entertainment, which is why we all went to Japan and their Godzilla movie, which turned out to
Oscar-winning Godzilla movie,
yeah,
by the way.
It's now an Oscar-winning Godzilla movie. Yeah, it's like a freaking $10 to $12 million movie, and that movie was objectively better than any of the other movies that were in the Oscars, except that it wasn't going to get the clean sweep because, unfortunately, it wasn't diverse enough. Because we all know that the Academy has the diversity standards where you got to have a cripple behind the camera and a cripple in front of the camera. You have to have a blind person in front of the camera and a blind person behind the camera actually working the camera. and you also have to have different races
Well,
and all that stuff. It's like, well, this
I
is a
asked the
Japan
question.
50s movie.
I asked the question: if you guys have a bunch of retards behind the camera, doesn't that call this disability? Because that case, every movie will be diverse.
There you go. I mean,
I think Godzilla should have focused more on all of the black people that were hurt in Japan by World War II.
Right?
Well,
I
why
mean, seriously.
I gotta say, like, why do you think that they want the minor attracted persons to be considered like a real thing?
Oof.
I mean, that would take care of their diversity quota right there.
Well, that's why they gave it an Oscar for Poor Things.
They have already an
Yeah,
issue
right?
trying to find enough black people to be in that Shogun miniseries. So, because obviously, there were a lot of black people who were Shogun. We just haven't heard their stories.
Nope.
Show enough.
I mean, Jake, Mark, where's your outrage?
That's funny.
Where's your outrage?
What was that? No. Nah, you won't be seeing no outrage from me for no dumb shit like that. I'm sorry. But yeah.
Thank God. I'm sorry, Mark. I've never met you before, but I was like, I gotta keep my mouth quiet about things. I still keep quiet about things, but thank you.
Yeah, he's
it's
just letting the
shame,
N-word
but-
slip.
But
I'll let you know
I mean, it
beforehand.
just goes to show what I was talking about before about how Hollywood influences. We like to think that we're above all of this and that people can see through all of this.
You're right,
But you have people who co-sign this stuff, Yeah, where are the black shoguns? It's like, stop it. You're like, stop. It's like that's not what we're doing here, man. It's like just because somebody throws out a dumb idea doesn't mean that you got to pick it up. It's like what I always talk about in my videos. There's always going to be the whys and the why nots. It's like we represent the whys. Like every time they try to do something, it's why. But then you have the people on the other side. Well, why not? It's like, well, stop. Look, God save us from these contrarians that's out here. Use your brain. You know what I mean?
If we already had a black Anne Boleyn, why can't we have a black Meiji Emperor?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, we might as well just go full clown show. Just make the entire world black. I mean, we've already had a black Anne Boleyn. Now we're gonna have black shoguns. We had a Black Jerusalem movie not too long ago. So yeah, everything is just black and was replaced by either whites or Asians. In that movie.
I see a white script and I want to paint it black.
I still like to point out, though, just in defense, there was a white Egyptian movie, and we all know the Egyptians have always been not white. So
they've been a little bit tan.
So does that mean that
a lot of the leaders in Egypt were Greek?
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
We had a black
Mike?
Cleopatra.
Of course, we know.
had a black Cleopatra.
Well, of course, we know the original race swap was Jesus, of course, and Jesus, and of course, I had mentioned Charlton Heston earlier. Moses. So this has been going on in Hollywood for a long time. It's just the way it is now. It's a whole different dynamic in all of that. You know what I mean? But listen, I mean, Hollywood hasn't been getting it right for a long time. So my thing is, I'm really curious. The next Moses movie that comes out, or the next Jesus movie that comes out, are we still going to see the same level of outrage? Are we going to want historical accuracy? Like my thing is, do it all across the board. If we're going to take one step in that direction, especially in this section of the fandom and stuff like that, because we represent that. We want accuracy. We want things to be, held to a certain standard. So my thing is, let's hold everything to a certain standard.
And thankfully, thankfully, Mel Gibson is the one that's going to be the only one that's going to be doing Jesus movies from here on in. So we're going to be getting a white savior from here on in. Thank God.
Passion of the Christ 2 coming out in theater soon. I want to take a quick. They've been talking about he's going to be working on. I don't know if it's what stage of development it is, but who knows. But this is something that I do want to talk about.
One more before. As long as Christ doesn't pass through and call one of the Roman guards sweet cheeks.
Yeah, I mean, I'll save that one for the chosen, but that's a
or sugar tits. I'm sorry, sugar tits. I even screwed up my own joke. Kabang!
Get out of here! Get this heretic
Tried
on my show.
All right. Well, this is a story I do want to talk about. We'll pause from the Hollywood stuff here for a second because this, to me, is just absolutely mind blowing. The stupidity of some of these people. Some of you guys may have heard the name Hannah Barron before. She's been around for many, many years. I played her on this show. She's the redneck girl from Southern Alabama who's known for, basically noodling catfish and hunting gators and stuff like that. She's done outdoor type stuff for a while. Let's just put it that way. She's been around for a bit, and apparently she's been under fire over the last several days here from, I guess you can call them the TradCons, aka Red Pill community, over the last several days, because they're saying that, her being a tomboy is a disgrace to women, especially American women, and they've gone as far as to say that if you are attracted to her, that you are in fact a closeted homosexual. And this whole take on social media has drawn a lot of ire from a lot of people, and it's gotten dumber. Believe it or not, this has in fact gotten dumber, and I'll explain to you here. But a former beauty queen, by the way, I've never heard of this person beforehand. I'm talking about the person who was attacking Hannah, but a former beauty queen ignites a firestorm on social media after saying that a Southern girl's Southern accent it should be illegal. I think that's quite literally what she said here. So.
Yeah.
Shamira Khan, a former Bernie Sanders supporter, now an anti-woke social media content. So there you go. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
A former RT correspondent. Hey, I've done at least like 3 articles for the RT before I got fired, so I'm not going to throw her under the bus for that. Back in 2018, so she put out this tweet here, and she's deleted it. Actually, she hasn't deleted it. She's privated her account because she was getting so much backlash for this. She actually had to protect her tweets, so she's currently not up right now. But everything that she says is it's still up there. She mocked Barron, saying that this accent needs to be illegal and women should be banned from doing manual labor like this. She was posting a video of Hannah outside of a house that she's building herself. So if you don't know that she's actually building her own home up in Alabama, and she was putting in all of the studs and everything like that. And she says there's nothing feminine about the American woman. American women are literally men. And then she added on that Lebanese women are literally perfect and they're actually feminine, unlike the estrogen deficient American women who hold the record for most testosterone, highest testosterone levels in the world, right? So when people saw who she was attacking, and they were like, wait a minute, I know Hannah Barron. Hannah Barron is killed. Why are you attacking her? She started to double down, and several other people started to double down in this whole situation. She says that high-value American men should become passport bros. Why do they deserve, don't they deserve better than the filth they're limited to in their own country? Agree or disagree? What's your thoughts? She even went as far to say that she would be any man attracted to Hannah would be embarrassed to be seen with her in public. So this is just a whole lot of just projection here. So people started coming to Hannah's defense. Like I said, she's been around so many different spheres. Everyone know who she is. Like, what the hell are you talking about? You look like you're caked up full of makeup, and you're trying to sit here and attack another woman who, unironically, people would much rather be with than you. That's kind of what we're doing here. A lot of female commentators called her out about this. Even a lot of male commentators did too. And it got to the point where Hannah, who wasn't even on Twitter when this whole thing started, created a Twitter account to address the things that people were saying about her on social media. This is Hannah's response to what was being said here. So here's the ugly American Southern woman whose voice needs to be illegal here. Here's her response to what this troglodyte was saying about her.
Good morning, y'all. I don't have a Twitter. I did at one point, but my account got removed for whatever reason, and I just hadn't got around to making another account. But apparently I'm trending on Twitter right now because some girl, hey Meryl, some girl said that my accent should be illegal. Women shouldn't do manual labor. Oh, what else did she say? American women are basically men, and she just said that I was not feminine. Ooh. And I would tell y'all this girl's name, but I can't remember it because I don't have a clue who she is. So that should tell you how relevant this person is. But I just think it's hilarious because I grew up as the weird kid in high school who hunted and fished too much, because back then it wasn't cool for women to hunt or fish or the whole country lifestyle. And I'm so proud of all the women in the outdoors now who are making that more cool or popular. So proud of us. I think we're doing great. But I've been helping Dad build houses since I was 15. When I was a senior in high school, I taught kids how to weld in ag class. So I've done Not manual labor. When I think of manual labor, I think of what my dad does. I'm nowhere near that. I just help as much as I can, and I try. And it's fun. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's a lot of blue-collar women out there who are also feminine. And so I just think that you should embrace your own individuality. You should be yourself. And don't worry about what anybody else said, because these folks talking about me and think they're going to offend me, that ship sailed a long time ago. I've been getting picked on my whole life. I grew up around men. Well, so don't be scared to build your own box and don't try to fit in anybody else's. Be your own person and you'll be happier in the long run because of that. And don't worry about what anybody else has to say. Hope y'all have a good one.
So that was her response to the whole situation, a very classy response, which only got more people to side with Hannah. So, of course, instead of this community just taking an L of, hey, you guys had a really bad take and people dumped on you for it, now they're progressing to not only the double down, but the triple down by saying that apparently now Hanna-Barbera is a psyop. And there was this whole thing was crafted to sell Black Rifle coffee. Now, this is what they're pivoting to. And what they're saying is that this girl came out of nowhere. Now, all of a sudden, all of right-wing Twitter are coming out to defend her. It must be a psyop. This whole thing is fake. This can't be real. Not realizing, no, here's what happened, you idiots. You went after someone having no idea who she was and having no idea how popular she was when you attacked her. She has 2 million followers on TikTok. This is just some random girl they picked up on social media or whatnot. So all these people who know Hannah, who have worked with Hannah, who have met her, taken pictures of her, all came to her defense. And because so many people were coming to her defense, they're all like, oh, this must be a psyop for Black Rifle Coffee. So now people are like digging into like Black Rifle Coffee's political contributions to prove that they're somehow funded by the Democrats and stuff like this, all because they decided to attack Hanna-Barbera and it blew up in their face. So this is the discourse that we've been seeing here with this quote-unquote TradCon community. We talked about the story a couple months ago about how everyone had a complete meltdown about the calendar and all of this old nonsense, and these people just pick the absolute dumbest hills to die on, and they look absolutely stupid as a result of this. And here we are again. This thing's just getting even worse now. So I actually want to start this one off with our good buddy Mike, because I want to get Mike's opinion about this whole story. What do you think about essentially the TradCon community coming out against Hanna-Barbera? Where do you think about where do you stand about this whole situation?
I don't understand the TradCon thing. I mean, are there like legitimately conservative people who are taking sides against it's a lovely young feminine, you know, freaking baller chick, dude. She's I dig her. She's great.
She is a
cute as button. She is cute as a button. She's was she just like 28, 29 years old, something like that?
Like 27, I think. But I mean, she's like I was saying, like this is.
I don't get it. I mean, she's every TradCon's freaking dream girlfriend or dream wife. It's like, who are these TradCons that are trashing her besides this weird Shamir
pie bakers?
She's attractive. She likes guns. She's actually useful. She can hunt. She can fish.
What I'm saying.
And she has a good relationship with her father.
It's a poster girl for traditional conservatives. So I don't. Who's actually bashing her besides Shamir, whatever.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
Go ahead.
Well, for one thing, I remember Black Rock Coffee, Black Rifle Coffee. Like
Black Rock owns all the other coffees.
That's right.
Yeah.
I didn't want to give him any ideas. Black Rifle Coffee did do like a thing. They were kind of against Trump for a little bit. I guess like they turned around for a while.
I believe it was the Kyle Rittenhouse one that really
the Kyle
exposed
Rittenhouse
them.
where they were like, yeah. So I think I think they're like riding that wave. And then on top of that, you have like these. I don't want to be mean. These perma virgins who are just, they're desperate to hold on to some sort of like fantasy where everybody eventually is going to, some girl's eventually going to come and save them. And she's going to be able to bake pies and make their bed and, wash their clothes,
rub their feet and have their babies.
So like, it's like this weird combination of like really sycophantic people, like trying to degrade a girl who obviously is as cute as a button. I mean, I had a crush on a Gadget Hat Wrench when I was a kid. She reminds me just of her. So absolutely fantastic.
I think she should get into acting. She could play Gina Carano's younger sister and something.
Yeah.
we're gonna manifest this Gina Carano, Dakota Johnson, and Hannah Barron movie.
We're literally doing Hannah and her sisters with Gina Carano and Dakota Johnson.
Yeah,
well, we gotta wait for Gina Carano's lawsuits to get over first.
Yes.
I keep hearing that this is like some TradCon thing against her, but I don't see like who are the TradCons that are besides Samir Shamir.
I've seen a few people, like some of you guys probably won't know, but I've seen like Ben Zaloff has been on this. Amari King has been attacking her. And it's like, it's this whole idea that one, she's not feminine because tomboys are not feminine. And if you like tomboys, you're gay. You should be tomboys because you're degenerate. And then there's been the other side of this. It's like, because they're showing pictures of her, like, you know, kind of like in a bikini in the middle of the swamp, literally pulling like catfish, like out of the swamp, saying that, oh, this is degenerate. This is like thirst traps. It's like, she's in the middle of the swamp. What do you expect her to wear? Like a mid-dress? Like, what are you doing?
You don't go on catfishing?
Exactly. She's pulling catfish out of a swamp. Like, what did you expect her to wear?
Like with her dad.
Right?
Yeah.
Me and my dad, we go catfishing together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I always take my daughter to the beach in a robe just to make sure she's, you know, in a burqa.
Yeah.
Exactly. So nobody can see her ankles.
Yeah, those new bikini burkas. They're all the rage.
Mark, what's your take on the whole thing with Hannah Barron?
Well, I mean,
all we need.
What?
Yeah, that had played on its own.
Yeah, I mean, it comes down to how people feel about tomboys. You know, for some people, they feel like women should be ladylike. You know what I mean? Like they should be wearing dresses and baking cookies or something like that. You know, it used to be like that back in the day. You know, it's taking it back to like June Cleaver or something like that. Like women are just supposed to just be so ultra feminine. And it's always been a thing where you look at tomboys like they're dirty and they're like one of the boys and stuff. Like you see that in old Hollywood all the time. You know, the dirty girl who comes in and, you know, she's just roughing it up with the guys and stuff. So it's just an image thing. But, you know, for somebody to have a problem with it to that degree, I think is ridiculous. You know, it's definitely overblown. You know, she's not vulgar. You know, you don't see her, at least from what I've seen. I'm not too familiar with her, but I don't see her. She's not cussing. She ain't twerking. She ain't over. You know what I mean? It's just, you know, because I got this thing about like twerking. It's just like, you know, but yeah, I just think that, you know, she's just doing what she does, man. You know, it's like, you know, could she be more feminine in her image? I mean, she could be, but that's not her. You know what I mean? Like if you took this and flipped it, right? And you had a guy who was doing feminine things, you know, would that be different for you guys? Or would you still be the same way? Like, he's just doing what he's doing. You know what I mean? Is this a double standard that we're doing because she's a girl and we do find her rather attractive, right?
Right.
But if it was a dude and he was doing
stereotypically,
yeah.
I watch that show all the time. It's called Hell's Kitchen. That man in the kitchen, freaking dope, dude.
Yeah. Well, if there's a guy in the kitchen doing dishes and cleaning up, I mean, yeah, I could see why some people might find that offensive. But to me, that's just that's just every other day.
Yeah. So I'll pop this video up real quick. Like I said, I don't understand the angle that they're trying to attack her with. Like I said, everything that you guys attack about modern women, like Hannah Barron is not that. She doesn't have an OnlyFans. She's not twerking in front of the camera and on the streets. So she has a good relationship with her dad. She's actually useful. She's actually a loyal Southern girl, and she's attractive. It's like, what is it about her that you actually like makes you guys like upset? Like
all we need is about 2 or 3 more energy drinks, and we'll really get this thing cracked up.
I love the cross-eyed bit.
I'm Hannah Barron here in Las Vegas at the 2024 SHOT Show. Been lost the whole time, but we're making our way around. Right now, we're in the First Form and First Spear booth. We're going to walk around, see how lost we can get, and check everything out. Appreciate y'all.
Oh, it's a little too free music. I'm already starting to hate it for it.
Random noises. Yep, sorry. Like I said, you're going to be hearing a lot of random noises. Heck yeah. Merle would not have it. I'm doing good to have a collar on him.
How many escalators have you been on so far today?
I don't know, but I love the escalators. We can do them all.
Every time we get on an escalator, you have to give us a piece of wisdom for life.
When you're sticking your hand in a catfish hole, keep your hand in a fist so they don't break your fingers. And I put that there.
It's like
It's good to know.
exactly right, but
I'm taking that one to the bayou when I go down there.
but it's like these people went after a target, didn't realize what target they went after, and instead of just admitting, saying that okay, maybe we were wrong here on this take, they can't admit that they were wrong. So what do? They double down. They make themselves seem even stupider when it all comes down to it.
Can you bring up some of these stupid tweets?
Yeah, I'll look for a couple. But Rick, what do you think about this story?
Well, I'm just waiting for her to declare foosball as the devil. I don't understand what the controversy is, especially all of these. I understand what traditional conservatives. Maybe they're trying to be gatekeepers to declare what is feminine, what is masculine, when in reality, this girl here, she seems Hannah Barron, whom I've never heard of in my life. She seems perfectly fine, perfectly pleasant, someone that I would not mind socializing with. I don't want to be in the swamp, but that's just because I don't want to be in the swamp. But if she's out there, she's pretty, she's reasonably well spoken. The accent is fine. What's the big controversy? Yeah.
So let me ask you this though. You said you wouldn't mind socializing with her. Can you clarify what you mean by that? Do you mean like would she be considered wife material? You know,
yes.
You guys up here.
Yes, especially because she would be able to take down people, and I would not. You see, she would probably be able to kill the people. I would not. I would be the one cowering behind her. So there you go.
Male feminist.
Do I look like Chris Hemsworth's mother?
Beta.
So you
This is
what you look for.
Want to hit the gym there,
What
Rick.
you look for in a wife. You look for a wife. You look for a protector.
I've been hitting the gym. How dare you?
Have you though?
Okay.
Yes, I have. I've lost 35 pounds less. 35 pounds
fair
less.
enough. Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. So no, I think she is wife material. She's a wonderful person. I don't know her, so I can't say, oh yes, she will be, she'll be the object of my affection. But she seems like a pleasant person. Why are all these people going after her? Let her live her life. If she's out there building things and putting her hand inside catfish, I mean, hey, more power to her. I have very little to add to this.
Yeah, my daughter would love doing that kind of crap. Probably.
She's wife
She's not
material
a,
if you're
she's not
Billy
a
Jack.
tomboy, but she likes doing the rough and tumble stuff. She's always been really strong, and she loves a challenge, right? It's like that's a great thing to have in any person, male or female.
Yeah. So there has been, like I said, the person who made the original post has now privated her account, so you can't really see what she previously posted. Like articles that are out there that have her words posted, you can find it there. But she's privated her account. Other people have removed some of their earlier messages, like about what they said about Hannah. But this is kind of the general argument that was going on before people started backtracking here. And Amari King was one of the guys who kind of went harder into her. I guess he rewrote this after the fact, and notice here that this person has privated their stuff too, but basically saying that I like soft women that bakes cakes and scrapbooks and wear sundresses and raises babies. OP, meaning that Khan here has a point. Many American women have become entirely too preoccupied with trying to be one of the boys, and they lost sight about what makes them so fuckable in the first place. It says, yes, if you're into boyish women, I believe you also fuck a dude. And then of course he doubles down by saying, I knew I'd get some backlash. I had no idea how many closeted men this would bring out of the woodwork. Happy Pride. So yeah, exactly. I'm trying to. I know there was a few other ones on there, but like I said, people are starting to remove their messages now, realizing how bad this is gone. Yeah,
I lost major respect for that man.
I don't know who this person is.
Emery King. He was
a commentator.
Yeah.
I don't know what commentator for what. Like,
there's a Twitter commentator.
He's a political commentator.
Yeah.
And he also used to do shit on YouTube.
I don't know if this is some kind of projection, or like I said, gatekeeping, where these people have decided this will be feminine and you cannot. You cannot cross it. You must wear the dress. You must do, quote, the feminine thing, like be in the kitchen all the time. I don't see anyone who says that they're attracted to her in any way as being gay. Although, you know what? I think what we should do is find some gay conservatives and ask them, will you convert for this woman?
So then there's another one. I think Spencer had just mentioned this one too. This is Lo-Fi Republican as a big, I guess, following on Twitter here. This is when they were starting to push the narrative that this was all a psyop, right? Because like I said, so many people came out in defense of Hannah that they all said that it was a psyop, that somehow this was being astroturfed because Graham Allen, Kat Turd, Miles Chong, and a few other people all defended her. So now all of a sudden it's like, oh, the damage control memo ran out. This is only 8 minutes apart. And then it's like, oh, she previously had millions of TikTok, it's their Instagram followers. And he says that, is that supposed to be an argument against the suggestion that clearly has a management team who understands viral marketing? So now apparently this whole thing was a plot from Hannah from the very beginning so that she can still shill energy drinks and Black Rifle coffee. So apparently this is all, this was a work.
How did she call the model? Did she call the model up ahead of time? Hey, could you make fun of me? On Twitter?
Yeah. And now they're saying that she's shilling now, so she's using this all as a viral marketing ploy. And there's
Good, she should. See, now this is some feminine stuff right here. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I mean, you got Donut Operator and a few other people. Just like, come on. Now they're saying that Khan was in it from the very beginning, so now she's a part of this whole psyop as well.
It's a stubborn refusal of people to admit that they're wrong, so they will come up with more and more outlandish theories. It's that meme from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. It's literally that, where they're trying to constantly find the connections from one thing to the other. I mean, it's kind of to bounce off a little bit of what Orange had said in the last segment. This is how they justify Mama Hillary losing, because they can't admit that more people just didn't like her, so they'll go with Russian interference and
Russian bots,
and all of this, and conspiracies and golden showers and all sorts of things to rationalize the most simple answer. She didn't get enough votes in certain states to win the election. So
it's funny, Eddie being a pro wrestling fan, you've heard the term working yourself into a shoot. Is it possible to shoot yourself into a work back into a shoot?
You can shoot yourself into a work, you can work yourself into a shoot. I don't know if anyone's shooting here, but it seems like a big work to me, the whole thing.
It's just,
no, I mean, she if she has like a following on Twitter or she has a following on TikTok, then she knows how to work the system. She knows how to work the algo to make herself get over here in pro wrestling terms. So I mean, she's not an idiot. She's not some country bumpkin as everybody like Amari King and everybody would like to believe to think. She's not some dumb country hick.
There might be a little bit of bouncing off a bit of what Eddie said. There might be a little bit of snobbish
prudishness
here.
Yeah. Well,
yes,
remember
we're the elites. We're intellectual, and here comes this girl who sounds very very country, very
well. Keep in mind, remember the whole backlash a few months ago about the whole conservative dad calendar, where people were attacking Riley Gaines, saying that you're a harlot because you're in a swimsuit trying to get lust out of men. It's like, she's a swimmer. That's why you guys know about her in the first place. She was trying to protest against the dude trying to beat her in swimming competitions. Like, everyone just completely forgot about that and be like, get
mad at the redhead because she wanted to actually bake pies for her picture.
Yeah. Or the chick who they got mad at because she was baking a cake in her kitchen. And we're like, your boobs are too big. Cover those up.
Stop it. Stop. Don't put your leg up.
Yeah. Like I said, the problem with these people is, like I said, they just choose the absolute dumbest hills to die on. They could have just taken this L and walked away, and we could have been done with this topic days ago. But they decided, no, we're going to double down. And as a matter of fact, we're going to dig into the political contributions to Black Rifle Coffee to show that this was a work the entire time. You can't fool me. It's like, guys, just stop.
They would rather try to find all sorts of conspiracy theories than just admit that they're wrong.
Yep.
Here's the main thing. I grew up around a lot of tomboys. Up in where I live, extremely conservative areas, the girls were freaking raised to do just as much as the men. Not everything the men do, obviously, but they also were not gonna put up a bullshit either. They go out and fish, they go out and camp, they go out and do all sorts of stuff. Just because a woman knows how to do that does not mean that they are any less a woman. They are, or they still have a feminine side to them. They still have all that or other qualities to them. They still know how to take care of shit around the house. I mean, just because they pick up a few more little habits that just happen to coincide with what men do does not mean anything. And the fact that these traditional conservatives, guys, you're going to have to accept that we're no longer in the fucking 1950s. Women are capable of doing more than just getting in the fucking kitchen.
This is just irritating the hell out of me. I'm a traditional conservative. The label of the traditional traditional conservative. No, these are just a bunch of freaking they're wingnuts.
It's a misuse of the term, then, I guess.
Yeah, that's what drives me nuts about this argument, because it's not the only I heard it.
Here,
saying the same thing, and it's like, no, I'm a trad conservative. Like,
not only that, if I may, not only that.
So
when it comes to conservatives online and shit, honestly, they don't need to say shit because the fucking left owns them or owns themselves with their own L's all the fucking time. We just need to literally stand back and let them fucking eat themselves. Because we really don't, or this shows how out of practice we are when it comes to making these kind of arguments. I mean, you have the ones that are actually doing very well, but you also have these TradCons or whatever. And it's like, you know how the left can't meme? Well, you guys can't argue for any good things because you're fucking stupid.
Oh, by the way, so now there's a conspiracy theory out there that Hera Barron is actually a Satanist now, because you can see here in this photo when she cosplayed as Laura Croft for Halloween one of these years, she did the gun pose and they transposed that to the Baphomet as above, so below.
My fucking God.
Then they're saying that she's known as the catfish girl, that being catfish means to trick someone. Here's one for her flashing devil horns while she's riding in a helicopter. So and then she also supports Black Rock.
Literally
Coffee,
means I love you. And
that's not devil horns. This means I love you.
Like, I love you. This isn't me going.
Yeah. So like I said,
man, get it
ladies, ladies, whatever you do, this is just like me and the ladies are going to talk now. I'm talking to you, ladies. Please, whatever you do, don't consider yourself like less than because you happen to like things that guys like, and you happen to like things that girls like, and you happen to like to play video games, or you like to hunt, or you like to fish, or you like to shoot guns. You're not less than, ladies. You're actually who you're supposed to be. And if you like those things, then continue on doing them. Just to point out, though, for a sense of understanding, you're not a tomboy if you do boy things. You're a tomboy if you're better at doing boy things than the boys. So just trying to show you some love, show your tits more often. I love you all.
There you go. I would just tell these TradCons, try not to watch Annie Get Your Gun, because if they see the Annie Oakley story, they might actually just have a stroke. Yes, I mean, a woman who can hunt and shoot and do better than a man. They would just complete have meltdowns.
Oh, it's
all right. Let's look at this from a different angle. How old is she?
For my daughter.
She's like 20 something.
She's like 27.
Yeah, 27.
She just had her.
I
saw on her
almost
Instagram
30.
she had her 10-year high school graduation. So
wow,
27, 28.
About 27, 28, right? Almost 30 years old. Is she married? Like, I don't know her. Is she married?
I think she's engaged, or she's dating someone, but I think that they're engaged, but she's not officially married yet.
All right, so no kids or anything like that?
No.
All right, so I think what is also being implied here, because I mean they use this to indict American women all over around, right? Mm-hmm. So the thing is, you can do all of these things. You can be a tomboy, you can do whatever you want to do. But ultimately, are you being a wife? Are you being a mother in those years, right? So if you're going to be from 19 to 30 or something like that, right? It's like
Mhm.
these are supposed to be your prime childbearing years as a woman, right? Are you doing that? Are you in pursuit of that? Or are you out in the middle of a swamp somewhere? So it's not without legitimate
Right.
criticism when you hold this up to different cultures who are raising wives, who are raising mothers. Like, you can do these things. I mean, like I said, we here in America, it's women can do whatever they want, but you're still going to leave yourself open to a criticism. Like, what's going on with men and women in this country? Like, why are we not raising strong families? What's up with the divorce rate and stuff? So, I'm looking at it from like an objective point of view. Yes, she's cute. She can do what she wants. She's even adorable. I love the accent. But my thing is, what's going on? Because men do need wives. Women do need husbands. It just seems like we're about our recreation in this country more than anything else. So I do see a little bit of where the criticism is coming from. I don't think that it's fair to put that on her, but generally speaking, I do believe there is a there.
Here, I will push back on this thing. The original person who made this complaint wasn't saying that, why are you like in your late 20s and you're not married with like kids yet. That wasn't the argument. They just saw a girl who was basically like fixing up a house with her father and be like, oh, look, this is this manly tomboyish woman. Like, that's what they were attacked. That's what started this whole thing, saying that,
They
this is
talked about
how
American women, though. It wasn't just her. They put it on
No,
American women.
but they saw the video. They saw her video and attacked her based on the activity she was doing in her video. So like the part that you're talking about didn't come into play until much later on, after there was like pushback about the whole thing, and they were trying to find like a ground to kind of hold, because they, like I said, they didn't want to be like, okay, we attacked the wrong person here. They went after her because of her accent, saying that her accent should be illegal, and they went after her of the fact that she hunts and that she was like, she builds houses with her dad. Like, that's what they attacked her for initially, and then that's what started this whole thing.
Yeah, it was unfair to attack her. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But I just look at the larger conversation too. Now that we're having it, it's like, yeah, let's not act like there isn't some issues here, because there are, just not with her. Like, I get it. We're talking about her, but yeah, I think there are, American women, they do have a lot of hangups, and so do American men. So since we're going to open up the conversation, I just feel like, that's something worth looking at as well. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And they did confirm that she is engaged, but she has not married yet. So she does have a fiance. So
Also, May, somebody who says that somebody's accent should be illegal, and yes, I'm going there. You kind of sound like somebody who belongs in the 40s overseas in that German country. Because if you're simply going to
30s,
40s, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, if you're seriously going to go after somebody simply because the freaking accent is different, how are you no different from that group? Because really, it's like they wanted to outlaw as many differences as there is to conserve their Aryan perfection. But if you are seriously just going to go after somebody simply because of an accent, and the fact that they could probably do a lot more than you can productively, it really just shows that you are jealous. So whoever this woman that wrote that article, or the people, the traditional conservatives, it seems to me that you guys, well, the ones that call themselves traditional conservatives, it seems to me that you're actually kind of jealous because you can't do all the things that this woman is clearly capable of doing, and that pisses you off because you can't handle that level of woman.
What amazes me, though, is I don't know why they're going after her accent. Did they not hear California Girls? And the Southern girls with the way they talk, they knock me out when I'm down there. Come on,
what
the whole point of
Who the fuck asked you? Shut the fuck up! Nobody asked you, you motherfucker! No one fucking asked you, you fucking cocksucker! Would you?
They have lovely accents. They have lovely accents. You go down to Charleston, they have.
Okay, anyway, so we're gonna move on to our next topic here, which is
her accent. Jacob, because there's a genuine question there.
Wait, which one?
Kabuto there, deserving.
Oh yeah, right. I forgot about Spencer's question. How does her recreational choices prevent her from being a good wife material? It doesn't.
It does not.
It really doesn't.
No, it does, depending on who is trying to wife her up, right? So it's, like I said, see, for me, it's like I'm not going to make these assumptions that they're just hating on her. It's like it very well could be. All right. But I like to be a little bit more objective in my approach. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, yeah,
but
if you go on.
Even based on that metric, like I'm assuming that whoever her husband or fiance is also someone who hunts and does like the outdoor stuff just like her. So if you're marrying a woman who shares your interests, I don't think that's going to prevent you prevent any kind of conflict or any motherly duties there. I mean,
once again, you just started off by saying the assumption. See, this is what I'm saying. I'm not assuming. I'm trying to be objective here. Now, if you're talking about how does her recreational choices prevent her from being a good wife material? You need a subject for that. You need someone, like, you have to know that her husband is also into that stuff. All right. But just objectively speaking, all across the board, she wouldn't be wife material for somebody who's not into that kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? Now, we just said before, oh, she's not twerking. She's not doing that. Now, you might meet a woman. She loves to twerk. She loves to twerk online. That's her recreational choice. Would you consider that to be good wife material?
No.
No. Okay. So because you feel that she's cute and you don't object to it, now you feel that she's good wife material perhaps for you. All right.
Well,
but somebody else.
Well, nothing that she's doing is sexual in nature. Twerking is. So if you're
No, we're talking about recreational. We're talking about recreational choices here. All right. Now you're getting
going to
into
say
your
like
particular...
doing the samba or doing the tango or something. That's one thing. You said twerking.
Some people don't mind twerking. You see what I'm saying? It's like I'm talking about being objective.
Twerking is like legitimately you're doing something. You're doing a dance move that is supposed to be
like sexual
replicating something else that you shouldn't be doing.
And I don't think that anyone who like sees like a twerking girl on the streets during like spring break, like their immediate reaction is be like, "Oh, that's my ideal wife." Now, if that is your first thought, then I mean, I don't know, maybe we got some questions.
I already said that I don't, twerking is not necessarily something that I look at in a woman like that. But the point is that there are some people, believe it or not, there are some people who feel that twerking is some type of African form of expression.
I've heard that argument. I've
you gotta bring the drums.
Wait a minute. I did not see any twerking when I watched The Woman King. So
when I watched it's just like pole dances were deflated.
It's just like pole dancing. It's like I have a good friend and she does pole dancing, for exercise. Right.
We gotta move on to our next topic here because we're gonna run low on time. But let's cross over to this whole situation with John Cena that's going on. So last Sunday we did the Oscar stream, me, Rob, and Rick, and it was an interesting experience. It wasn't as bad as the year previous, and I only went through 2 cans of beers rather than last year when it was a bad experience overall for everyone. But so there was one bit with John Cena where he came out naked during the Academy Awards. You guys probably saw this. It went viral for many, many reasons, none of them being very good. But John Cena walked out on stage with absolutely no clothing on. It was a big romp. The whole setup here was that they were trying to pay homage to the fact that, there was a streaker during the Academy Awards 50 years ago. So it's like, yeah, wouldn't it be hilarious if John Cena just walked out on stage naked during the Oscars in front of national television? Wouldn't that just be amazing? But what happened is that about an hour after he did this, humiliation ritual started trending worldwide because a lot of people started to quite literally be like, it seems like someone's trying to be a part of the club right now. And if you don't know exactly what we're talking about, let's rewind here just a little bit. John Cena, for several years, was pretty much the biggest star in WWE. After Steve Austin and The Rock left the company and they were no longer a part of the current WWE scene, WWE and Vince McMahon focused on John Cena. He became champion. He pretty much became the face of the company for at least 15 years. Now, and all the kids who grew up with John Cena during that era know him as, multi-time WWE champion, going toe-to-toe against guys like The Rock, CM Punk, Sheamus, all these other guys. And then over the last 5 or 6 years now, he's focused primarily on Hollywood. He'll come back maybe like once a year, but he's focused primarily on, his movies, his acting and whatnot. He's been in some decent films as well. Like I think he's shown that he has a good range in comedy and a good range in action as well. But there's been a recent run here where people have really just changed their look on John Cena entirely because they view him more just a Hollywood sellout now rather than a former WWE superstar. If you remember here, this is going back a couple of years ago when he was promoting the Fast and Furious movie with Vin Diesel. I think it was Fast 9 actually, the one that he was promoting.
Yeah, Fast 9,
He made a comment about Taiwan, acknowledging that Taiwan was actually a country, and this got huge pushback with the country of China. And because the Fast and Furious franchise has a big audience with China, he had to come out and literally do an apology. Not only just do an apology to China, did it in fluent Mandarin, because apparently John Cena over the last several years has learned fluent Mandarin, so he had to do a public apology for acknowledging that Taiwan is actually a country because the country of China does not like this. This was the video back from his apology days.
你好，中国，这是叫西娜。我必须说，现在，在《速度与激情》中，我做很多采访，很多。所以在一个采访，我有一个错误，所有人问我，如果我可以用中文，速度与激情有人给我很多资讯 information， 所以很多采访，很多 information， 我有一个错误，我必须说。
He's basically saying that, you know, when he made that comment about Taiwan, he had bad information and he apologizes on behalf of the Chinese people because he had to protect his spot. With this Fast and Furious franchise, he had to protect the spot and he had to essentially kiss the ring of the Chinese government. This is why you got so many memes out there about John Cena being John China and stuff like that, because he was essentially a Chinese puppet. And now you're seeing over the last couple of years, John Cena has done more degrading types of humor, degrading type of comedy over the last few years, to the point where people are like asking themselves legitimately, it's like, is there something going on in Hollywood with like John Cena right now? You guys may have remembered this whole picture in this video. I'll bring it up here right now. This is from the set of a film he just released on Amazon called Ricky Stenicki, and he's sitting here in a skirt and long stockings wearing a dress. We find out that in this film, this Amazon movie, that he's playing a failed actor who does masturbation cover songs in Atlantic City, and one of the bits is him dressed up as Britney Spears doing a masturbation ripoff of Hit Me Baby One More Time, where he's wearing full dress, full stockings, full skirt. Keep in mind, multi-time WWE champion you're watching here. So and then he recently opened an OnlyFans, which was to promote this movie, which was a weird turn because he started doing like a lot of degrading humor in that. And keep in mind, this is an Amazon film. This is not a theatrical release or anything like that. So people are like asking, so you had this going on, the China situation. Now you had him naked at the Oscars. Everyone's asking themselves, what the hell is going on with John Cena? It's like, is he trying to get into the club? And you guys don't know what the club is. Cat Williams also trended while this whole thing went on here, because Cat Williams recently did a sit-down interview with Joe Rogan, kind of doubling down on some of the things he talked about on the Shannon Sharp show about how Hollywood really works. I'll just play a quick minute of this video so you guys can get an understanding of what may actually be going on in Hollywood that we don't publicly know about.
Yourself into thinking there isn't one, but the evidence will be clear. So like when I be like, oh, these guys are wearing dresses. Everybody's like, oh, he keeps talking about people wearing dresses. No, it's not.
Is a weird thing.
It's not like that. Look at it from a different way. Look at it. Show me one person that ever wore a dress in Hollywood unsuccessfully. That's how you understand what a ritual is. So 20 years ago, I knew that transgenders was going to be a thing. It wasn't because I was a prophet. It's just I had gotten so much information that I understood that things are secular. So I understood that the earliest I had seen that word transgender was Baphomet, the transgender. And so I knew that in the ritual of Baphomet, the transgender, to show allegiance to him, you had to kiss his ass ring. Really? And it said both of those things. So I knew that both of those things would become popular in the future, and that somehow calling people the GOAT would be normalized over the sheep being always the most popular reference.
God damn, we got some good weed, Cat. Jesus Christ.
This must be the weed.
It must be the weed.
Yeah, it's totally the weed. It's not like it's anything actually going on here, but people are putting these pieces together, and we've seen this complete downfall of John Cena over the last several years, where he was a guy who people actually respected. People look up, especially if you're a pro wrestling fan. A lot of people respect John Cena, but to see him sell himself out to this degree just to be into the Hollywood club, it really just makes people wonder. It's like, what's going on? Because we've talked about The Rock here on different podcasts. We've talked about Dave Bautista. These are guys who have sold out to Hollywood to a certain degree. I don't think those two haven't sold out to the degree that John Cena has with the last few years. And a lot of people are noticing this. A lot of people are asking the question, like, what the hell is going on here? So I'll flip this one over to you, Eddie. I'll start with you. You're being the pro wrestling aficionado here. What's your take on John Cena and the quote unquote humiliation ritual that Hollywood seems to be putting him through right now?
I really wish you hadn't actually told me the storyline of the Amazon thing, or at least told me the story of that clip, because I'm literally writing something that's kind of scummy to begin with, but it has something like that, and it just like I'm ahead of Hollywood by about a year and a half. So but nobody wants to buy my shit, so that just irked me a bit hearing that, though. That's what the whole sellout was. Let's talk about John Cena. John Cena, I used to know back in UWF underneath Rick Bassman in Southern California. He was a really up and young coming guy, and he was the one thing I'll say about John Cena, and this has been constant his entire career, is that John Cena, just like me, is about a year and a half ahead of everybody else. John Cena has like this way to think about things ahead of time, and he knows where did he learn Chinese? John Cena knew China was going to be a big deal for him in the future. At the time, the WWE was making grounds in Asia. At the time, Shane was still trying to sell the WWE on demand network to China. So John Cena picked up Chinese because that's what John Cena does. John Cena is a focused individual who knows exactly what he's doing. And this is something that I cannot explain. It completely boggles my mind. I don't know if it's a humiliation ritual. Everyone complains about the Bohemian Grove. The Bohemian Grove is 30 miles away from where I'm at. It's usually, it's usually surrounded by a bunch of old people drinking wine, Eventually, you do get like these crazy types up there. I'm not going to deny that, but I don't know if it's a humiliation ritual to get into Hollywood. I just, what in the hell am I dealing with here? When I said the whole thing about the dresses and all of that. Yeah, this is what Hollywood does to you. Hollywood goes out of its way and degrades you and tries to find out how much they can poke you until you give up. Until you say, fine, I'll do whatever you want me to do. And if John Cena is going to go along with the humiliation ritual that Hollywood puts on everybody who comes through, okay, then I don't know why it has to go all the way to this. Like, this is like, I was actually disturbed by this. Like, I didn't expect any of this, him walking out on the Oscars being naked and everything else, especially for a joke for Jimmy Kimmel to not even say. It was a comedy bit that Jimmy Kimmel literally just play the thing, and just I don't know what to do. It's
like they're making him the joke, right? And that's like the things like what's going on. Mark, I want to ask you this one for a second, because obviously you followed this a lot with we look at it from the perspective of Hollywood putting black men in dresses, but we see that it's not just black men that are doing this too. It's kind of all men. We've seen this with, like, what was his name? Timothy Chalamet, and some of the things he's been wearing. We look at guys like Harry Styles. Hollywood is definitely pushing this feminized male, but I think it may be a little bit bigger than even that. It seems like in order to get into the graces of the club in Hollywood, they essentially want to see how far they can push you, to see how far you're willing to commit to being into the club. club. So they'll get you to do these things, being like, hey, John Cena, wouldn't it be fun if we put you in the movie where we dress you up as Britney Spears and make you puke all over yourself because you're a horrible drunk and you're just a complete joke throughout the movie? Or, hey, John, wouldn't it be funny if we just put you naked on national television so a room full of people and millions of people all at home can sit there and laugh at you, and that's the punchline of the joke? And I think if they're looking at people to be like, they're going to push back and be like, I'm not doing that. Like, I'm not selling out my dignity just so you guys can get a couple of chuckles, and then be like, okay, well, he's not ready to be in the club. But if you continue to go along with it and you continue to let them push you as far as they're willing to push you, I think this is kind of the end result here. So Mark, what is your take on the John Cena situation?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of different ways of looking at it. I think the basic way is that the Oscars have figured out to do what the MTV Movie Awards have been doing for years, where they got to have that one shock thing every broadcast. Now, last year, what was it? It was Will Smith smacking Chris Rock. You know what I mean? Everybody was talking about that. And then, 2 years ago. Okay, so man, time flies, but we're still talking about it. So this time around, everybody's talking about John Cena. So it's kind of like the basic way of looking at it. The other way of looking at it, of course, Hollywood is definitely dedicated to emasculating men. Of course, black dudes have always been the canary in the coal mine, whatever you call it. And, in a lot of ways, that humiliation thing started, like back then, humiliating black guys and stuff and, emasculating them, but it doesn't stop with that. Like you said before, it's just something that I think Hollywood is into because a lot of these studio executives are gay. They're into all of that freaky stuff. So the casting couch that used to be there for, like, we always knew the casting couch was there for women, to be used. But I think a lot of people are becoming surprised to find out that it also applies to men as well. It's as more gay dudes get into the industry, they expect for these men who want to become power movers. That's another thing that Cat Williams was talking about before. If you want to take it to the next level, you're going to have to bend over, for these dudes. So you hear about that. That's the reason why people are talking about that idiot P. Diddy, because, he is also a perpetrator. You get more and more stories coming out about guys who had to do certain things with him and these freaky parties that he goes to and all of that stuff. It's a very, very sick place.
Very. And I think what you're mentioning too with like the black men, and I've noticed this pattern as well, and it seems to be the same one that John Cena's falling in. It's like, it's the reason why there were so many black men who are always find themselves in dresses and stuff like that, because it always seems to be the lane of comedy where they sneak all this stuff in, because they sell this as the idea of, oh, wouldn't this be funny, or wouldn't this be a good joke if we just put you up there in a dress and all of a sudden you got this 6'3" jacked up buff dude wearing a dress? Wouldn't that just be hilarious? I just think to myself, isn't there other ways to like do a punchline? Isn't there other ways to like tell a joke? Why is it always, let's put this dude in a dress and laugh at him, right? And like I said, it's not just Cena. This has been going on farther than Cena, farther than Cat Williams, farther than Martin Lawrence. This has been going on for decades in Hollywood. And I think people are just now starting to put the pieces together that I think there's a little bit more to it than just, hey, wouldn't it be funny if these guys just wore a dress on television or humiliated themselves on television? I think people are realizing that there may be something more to this than we're not understanding.
Dude, Tyler Perry built a whole studio dressing up like a woman.
On dressing a dress. Yep. And that's like the weird, and that's like the weirdest thing, because they're forcing you to do it, and you got to do it. Terry Crews gets laughed about it, gets laughed in his face about it, right?
Yeah.
They do it to John Cena here. It's like, and then you realize that's the only way you're going to get ahead at any of it is once you put on that dress. That's when they'll start picking up your phone calls. That's when they'll start actually asking you to come to parties. That when you start putting on this dress, that's when they actually open up a little bit for you. That's when they creak open the door for you. And it's like, sorry. I deal with
and think about what Cat Williams said there and that Joe Rogan bit, and Joe Rogan probably blew him off, didn't think that he was serious, but he asked the question, when was the last time you see a guy wear a dress unsuccessfully, right? It always seems like a lot of these guys, before they make it to that upper echelon level, it's like, well, you got to do this one thing to show that you're in the good graces of the club. And everyone who's out here pimping out this feminine look, whether it's from actors to comedians to pro wrestlers, is like once they do so, all of a sudden, oh, they're one of the top people in Hollywood now. All of a sudden, it's not just weird.
For example, right? Look at the singer Sam Smith, right? The British dude.
Mhm.
You know, that guy, he came out when he first came out, he was wearing a little suit and tie and everything. He's singing his little song. Next minute, you know,
No, he looked like he should have been in Hall and Oates.
yes, right?
He looked fantastic. He looked like he should have been with Hall and Oates or George Michael or any of those guys in the 80s, singing that nice, you know, not to be offended, but that blue-eyed soul that they would talk about.
Yeah, bro, I love Blue Eyed Soul, and I love Hall and Oates, and I know exactly that vibe is what you're talking about, you know. But that's what you got when you got him initially. Now he's walking around thigh-high boots, ass out, you know what I mean, doing all type of satanic stuff on stage. You know, the same thing was with Lil Nas X. I know my nephew liked Lil Nas X when he came out, the old country road thing or whatever. You know, seemed very innocent. Next minute, you know, he's got devil sneakers with blood in them. You know, doing all types of crazy, once again, demonic stuff on stage. You know, it's like this is where it's all going. So, you know, people need to look at this stuff, man. Ain't none of this stuff, you know, just some innocent fun.
Right, and they put it in your face, like for what it is. Like I for what it is to gay people, if you don't believe in all of this stuff, like they put it in your face and everything. What Cat Williams was talking about, you gotta kiss the asshole of Baphomet in order to. There's a circle right on the gay flag now. There's a circle on the gay flag waiting for you to kiss it right fucking there. So if you're gay, if you want to get ahead in that, if you want to get ahead in this industry to get into Hollywood or whatever else, because I've had friends, they were gay. They're not the type that go off and have sex with every single guy that they find. They want to have a relationship. They want to have a connection or whatever gay people can have, you know? And Hollywood doesn't want you to do that, even if you're gay. Hollywood doesn't want you to have relationships, doesn't want you to have a family or a concept of an idea of what family should be. They want you to put on the dress and be something that you don't want to be.
And that's such an important thing to remember too, because I know, you know, I'm very opinionated in my videos. I have people come into my comment section who are, you know, gay, who agree with what I'm saying. You know, they're like, no, we don't like this. We don't like what's going on. These people are, you know, they're groomers, you know, and they're identifying it that way. And I think it would serve all of us as a community of human beings to remember that Hollywood in show business and politics, everything is meant to separate us, to pit us against one another, to get fighting going on. So we have to remember the human equation. You know, I always say, you know, all of this crazy stuff, you know, we were talking before about, you know, like black people believing that they got to be in everything or whatever the case. Like a lot of black people don't subscribe to that way of thinking. This is something that Hollywood tries to put out there. Like literally nobody is asking for this stuff. And that's why I said I separate people into the whys and the why nots. I wish people would start asking why more often, but they fall into this trap where they're like, well, why not? Yes, we could be that. We could be. No, don't do that. You have to ask why first. You know, why are they setting all of this stuff up the way that they are? You know, because
I want to get Mike's thoughts on this one because I do have another video. I think it's very interesting, very relevant for a couple of reasons. But Mike, what do you think of this situation?
There was a city it was like ancient Greece or ancient Rome or something like that. And this was a city that was constantly revolting. I think it was Greece, constantly revolting against Greece. And they just could not put these people down. But ultimately what they did was they killed all of the adult males, and they took away all their weapons, and they made all of the men wear dresses, learn poetry and musical instruments. And that
Sounds
city
like
was
Athens.
never a problem. It was never a problem again.
Mm-hmm. It's almost like they found the way to pacify the generation that can uprise against them. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yep, and
That's what we're seeing here, but on in a very methodical, very satanic, underworld sort of a way, where they're using the media to push this feminization of our culture on all of our. I mean, kids don't know what gender they are nowadays, right? And this is all to make us weak as the dominant culture in the world. And it's working unless we do something to turn the ship around. This is just another aspect of it to me.
If I may.
Go ahead.
John Cena and yes, I've been waiting to say this for a bit. That man absolutely has no credibility, as much as that, or he might have credibility in Hollywood, but this man has, or when he was doing his little wrestling stuff, made his name on showing respect to our armed forces and going along with a whole patriotic attitude. And when he did the whole apology tour with the speaking in Mandarin thing, that man lost so much respect by a lot of the armed forces. I'm actually friends with some people in the military. They're like, we don't ever want to see him do another salute to our flag again. Because when you dehumanize an entire country simply because your Chinese masters and freaking whatnot say you got to kiss the ring, it's like, dude, they are people. And so I accidentally said it was a country. You know what? They are still people. So I'm not, or he should have had enough American integrity. I mean, the man says he's an American, for Christ's sake. But it's like, if you are seriously going to kiss the ring and dehumanize a country, you absolutely have no respect from me, because that alone should have told people this man doesn't respect anything, because if he did, he would have stood up against the people saying you need to apologize for what you said. No red-blooded American is going to look at them and say, "Oh, you're right. I misspoke. It's not a country." Yeah, Taiwan's a country.
You're not wrong, but as we've talked about throughout the course of this show and other shows, if he were to make the stand and be like, no, I'm not going to apologize for saying Taiwan is a country, it is a country, guess what? He loses his good graces with Hollywood, and he has to go back to the WWE. And because
then at least he
at
can
the end
say
of the
that he
day,
has integrity.
but that's the day. At the end of the day, all of these people have a choice. You're either going to play the Hollywood game or you're not going to play the Hollywood game. And look, John Cena is not a guy who needs money. He's made plenty of money just from pro wrestling alone. So this isn't a guy who's like on his way up, who really desperate for cash. I'm pretty sure he was like one of the highest paid guys in WWE the last 15 years. So he's not doing this for the cash. He's doing this because he wants to be a part of this club, and which almost makes it even worse, because you could say from the perspective of some people, it's like, well, maybe they're lower on the totem pole and they don't really have, the FU money to say, screw this, I'm not going to listen. No, this guy has the FU money and he still does it anyway. So,
and another
some people say that they do that because they're now in a position where they're compromised. Like somebody was talking about this. I think it was Cat Williams, who was saying that they play this game where, you get into the business and, somebody might drug you or something like that. And they got video of you doing some crazy stuff, some studio executive or something. And if you don't play their game, especially if you're a person who is of any type of influence, now John Cena, I know that he's got, a young following, kids and stuff like that. It would be devastating, not just to him, but to the kids, to the parents or whatever, if it were to get out that, he was taking part in any of this crazy stuff that goes on in Hollywood. So they do that where they blackmail people as well. It's not just a matter of you got enough money, so now you can just step off or you can just do whatever you want. Sometimes, as a matter of fact, most times you can't get out until they tell you can get out. And
I mean, there is the mob element.
And then to that point, like he has to also contend with the fact that he not only has to worry about the Hollywood side of things, maybe doing something a little screwy to him, but he got emails about Vince. He got emails about Vince and his little escapades going on in the company and everything else this whole time. Like he's not completely shadow banned from all of this stuff. So yeah.
Well,
I do want to.
All right, play this and then
I do want to play this just real quick, or see as much as I can play, because I know this is a Comedy Central video, but I'm just gonna play it anyway because it is relevant to what we're talking about here. By the way, Trevor Moore is dead, and he's dead under very shady circumstances. But when you watch this, maybe you'll understand why that's the case. And now Trevor's dead.
Now, the thing that I find funny, not really funny at all, they actually, folks, all that shit is on Comedy Central Yet, what are the odds that it's all freaking accurate?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, honestly.
Saying the quiet part out loud and passing it off as it's a joke.
Yeah, because that's how they divert suspicion. Now, to the last bit that I wanted to say on John Cena, the whole thing where he actually came out naked, you know how hypocritical that is when the Oscars do something like that, and yet when a woman is scantily dressed and guys are like, oh, okay, that looks pretty cool, and we get yelled at and said we're sexist, we're perverts, we're pigs. Yet when John Cena does that and all the ladies are like, oh, that's pretty good, that's hot, yeah, nice. Do we get to call all of them perverts, pigs, disgusting, sexist? Because honestly, I'm kind of confused here. Because either it is, or what's good for the goose is good for the gander, or you are flaming hypocrites that honestly have no integrity whatsoever, and most of you deserve to be burned at the stake.
Is this a rhetorical question?
Take it as you will.
I like the part where Margot Robbie was like,
well,
she was gonna start throwing money in the fucking. She was gonna start throwing money at him.
Well, considering she did a full-on nude for Wolf of Wall Street.
Now, John Cena agreed to all of this. As far as I know, he was not pushed into it, or maybe, hopefully, not blackmailed into it. And I think they were doing two things. We're commenting on that streaker that came out in the 70s, and then he was presenting best costume design. So you see how the importance of clothing is in costume design when you have a completely naked person. I don't think that we really needed to do that. And the way I understand it is that there might have been some kind of actual covering and it was just an act. I don't know. But I do think that he agreed to it. He wasn't pushed into it. So he knew what he was doing, but I don't think he needed to. It's not going to impress people to say, oh, yes, I'm going to cast him as like Napoleon. If we're going to do another Napoleon movie, yes, he will play it because I saw him completely naked. I think it was just tacky and dumb, but I don't think it was some sort of like satanic ritual.
I don't think it was a satanic ritual. I do find it hypocritical, though, that they want or that they promote the female gaze when they have a very huge problem with the male gaze.
That wasn't the female gaze. That was the gays gaze.
That's because they knew Barbie was not going to win anything except song. So they needed some kind of compensation to smash the patriarchy. Like they did in Barbie.
Now that was another thing. Like I also thought about that. Like you noticed that this is going to be the last Oscars. This Oscars, by the way, all the winners, all white. And
no. Supporting actress was black. Divine.
Okay, mostly all white. And the next Oscars is apparently going to be where we get the new rules, where your film is now nominated specifically on the diversity hires that you have. And the inclusion and equity that you're willing to promote inside your films. That's the only.
So that wasn't done this year.
Pack.
Right now,
I thought that was actually going on this year.
No, this year. This year it's going to be. So next Oscar season is going to be where we get the full DIA or DII. Right, DII.
Yeah, die. Quite literally. Any final thoughts about this John Cena story before we move over to our closer here for tonight?
I did want to say that, like, to Rick's point, it's not that I don't think it's a satanic ritual, but this Hollywood is the beast. I've always heard it from Patrice O'Neill that this place with all of its glitz and glamour is the beast calling for you to be eaten. And the weirdest thing about this business and the weirdest thing about this city is that people are coming from all over the world to get eaten by the beast. Try to get as close to its stomach as possible, get crapped out, and will wait in line to get right back into the stomach.
To go right back. But like I said, Hollywood, and the reason why so many people flock to Hollywood, and I'll make this note before we move on to our closer here, is that Hollywood is essentially the home of temptation. And this is how they get you into the door, because they get you into the door based on this idea of what Hollywood is. And you're some doughy-eyed kid or some doughy-eyed guy or girl going to Hollywood, think to yourself, oh, if I just move to LA and I work my way up in the business, then I'm going to be rich and I'm going to be famous and everyone's going to know about me. I'm going to have so much money and I'm going to have so much sex and so much drugs and all this other things that just make it seem like Hollywood is like the first season of Entourage, right? And it's like, oh, this is going to be amazing. This is going to be great. And then that's what sells you to get you in the door. Then when you get there, you realize that, oh, wait, they sold me on something that wasn't what I actually thought that it was. But if I can't go back to working a regular job, I'm too deep into it now, so it's like I have to keep going further into it. And this is where we get situations like this where they want to see, okay, just how far can we push this person to get them like through the door. It's like, hey, can we get you to put on this dress? Hey, can we get you naked on the Oscars? Hey, can I bend you over this desk? Hey, you want to have a seat on the casting couch? And one by one, you just sell just a little bit more of your soul to the point where next thing you know, you're either Lady Gaga or Amanda Bynes and you don't have no soul left. So that's the end result, the end game of this whole situation.
Well, it was slightly classier way of doing this. Just go watch Sunset Boulevard, and you'll see someone degrade themselves eventually to their death for fame or for a stab at it. So, but it's just a great movie.
Oddly, this reminds me of War Brides. You know about Japanese war brides?
No.
Like after World War II, a lot of servicemen would go over there, and all these women would throw themselves at the Americans because they wanted to be Americans, and they thought America was Hollywood and New York because that's all they ever saw in their media. And then they get married and end up in Wichita.
Right.
Well, in fairness, I mean, after World War II, all they got was Godzilla -1. So I
and Oppenheimer.
See, that's why they would want to leave. So I don't blame them.
All right. Well, we have a closer here. This is what we're going to end the show on, and this is talking about Neve Campbell officially returning to Scream after she was lowballed 2 years ago because they didn't want to pay her because they had more woke, diverse counterparts until those woke, diverse counterparts got a little too woke, and now we have to blacklist them too. So this has been an amazing roller coaster here. I'll rewind for you guys so you guys can understand how we got to this point. About 3 years ago, when Wes Craven died, they just say, "Hey, you know what? Let's resurrect Scream because now he can't stop us because he's in the dirt, so we can do whatever we want, and we want a more diverse Scream. So we're going to have a whole bunch of biracial actors and Mexican actors and a whole bunch of people, gay people are going to be in this film now because we're going to be a Scream that reflects the modern world." So they brought Neve Campbell in for, I believe it was Scream 5, if I'm not mistaken. She played a somewhat important role in that film, but they were moving over to Melissa Barbara, who plays Billy Loomis's half Mexican daughter in the film. We don't know where Billy Loomis had sex with a Mexican girl in the first Scream movie. It's not that important. It just happened. Jenna Ortega obviously became a big star at the time with the whole Wednesday thing. So they parlayed, hey, we don't need Neve Campbell anymore, so we're going to lowball you for Scream 6 and essentially kick you out of your own franchise that you started because now we got these two Mexican girls. They're going to lead us to the future. Scream 6 comes out. They're getting into the production stage of Scream 7. All of a sudden, Melissa Barbara decides that she wants to speak out publicly against the Israel-Palestine conflict. Now, of course, being a Mexican actress, she has very close ties to both Israel and Palestine. And she goes all in on Palestine, comparing Israel to genociders, to the quote-unquote the Nazis, which surprisingly did not go over very well in Hollywood. I don't know what was the factor there that, talking about Jewish people in context to World War II did not go over well in Hollywood. But that happened. So she got kicked out of the movie. She got fired. Jenna Ortega, who silently, quietly has the exact same opinions about Palestine and Israel as her co-star, walked away from the film as well, saying that she's not going to be back. So all of a sudden, Paramount is like, well, what are we going to do now? Well, our two lead actresses that we built this entire thing on are gone. We killed off David Arquette. He's gone. Literally, the only legacy character we have left is Courtney Cox, and she looks like a werewolf. So what are we going to do here? Neve Campbell, can you come back and do another movie for us? And she said, fucking pay me. And exactly what they did, which means Neve Campbell is back for Scream 7 after the whole salary controversy here. Sidney Prescott is back, she proclaimed on Instagram, just 2 years after saying that she was leaving the franchise because they didn't want to pay her to be there. It's always been such a blast and an honor to get to play Sidney in the Scream movies. My appreciation for these films and what they have meant to me has never waned. I'm very happy, very proud to say that I've been asked in the most respectful way to bring Sidney back to the screen, and I couldn't be more thrilled. Campbell is also going to star with the Scream creator Kevin Williamson, who's taking over as director from Scream 7 as well. He wrote the second one and the fourth Scream movies. So of course it's been nearly 30 years since my first Scream script. Williamson said, taking over for Wes Craven. Said I would never have predicted that it will come or be directing the 7th installment of this franchise, but this is pretty much where they're at right now. So we know the story about Melissa and Jenna Ortega not being involved in this whole thing anymore. This film is an absolute mess. The Scream movies have been absolute dog crap. Like the Scream movies have just been absolutely just horrific. They haven't been good movies, but they were progressive. They had the right identity politics, so they got made. They got a little bit of play, but now because the two woke co-stars got a little too woke, they have to go back to the old guard. And this is how we're here now. So this is Scream 7, ladies and gentlemen. Orange Hat, I'll start this one off with you real quick. What do you think about this whole situation with Neve Campbell being brought back? How much money do you think they paid her to come back to this franchise?
I don't know how much money they paid her, but it's still not enough to get me to watch Scream after I watched Scream 5, where they literally made that movie just to call people like us serial killers and psychopaths. But I actually do think it is good that they actually are bringing the last OG to Scream 7. I mean, they're probably going to finally kill her off. I mean, they're just bringing her on most likely to kill her off because everybody else is dead. I do believe they killed Gail Weathers in the last one.
No, I think she survived. If I'm not mistaken, I think she did survive. So
well, if she did, or fine, then they can kill her in the 7th one along with Sidney Prescott. The point is, it's like she said it best in the 4th one. You forgot the one big rule about reboots: you don't fuck with the original, and I'm wondering how she's going to fit it in with her schedule, because she's also doing a show on Netflix about a lawyer stuff, which is actually, she's not that bad in. I've always liked Neve Campbell as an actress, but then again, she was an actress at the time when I was in my formative years, shall we say.
Yeah, but we all remember Neve Campbell from The Craft. We know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
you were young.
Craft. I'm talking about Wild Things.
Wild Things.
Oh, that one too. That one too.
Yeah. Honestly, it's still not going to get me to watch it, because I 4 was decent, but Scream 3 was where it ended for me. I mean, Craven told his story, but honestly, it's. If she wants to go back to that after they basically said, yeah, we're going to move in a different direction, we really don't care anymore. It's like, so why would you go back? I mean, okay, they're paying you more now. It's like, is that all that matters? Do you not forget how they kind of treated you and threw you under the bus?
But that just goes to show you how bad they've effed up this entire situation, because they essentially told her 2 years ago, hey, you know what? We don't need you anymore because we got 2 younger co-stars who's going to carry this franchise over for the next 10 years. And almost immediately they lost both of those co-stars, and they had to come crawling back to Neve Campbell and be like, hey, you up?
It's like, yeah, we need the OG back. Our versions of you kind of fucked up.
Yeah. Mark, what's your thoughts on the story?
This is corny to me because, like, to me, Scream is one of those things that should have never been a franchise. We talk about those types of movies, like probably Aliens or Terminator or something like that. They take it 1, 2, and then they like go off way more than they should. So I don't even see why she would be coming back. Like, I don't understand what the story is about her at this point. Like, I'm so lost with it. But if they disrespected her like the way that you're saying that they did, it is kind of sad that she's allowing herself to be dragged back into this. It's kind of like what if you hear that Johnny Depp went back to Pirates after everything they put him through? You know what I mean? It's like, come on. It's like, you don't need them. Or maybe she does. I don't know. I don't see her doing a lot else, although Orange Hat said she's in some show or something. But yeah,
I can kind of look at it from a what was it, a Hangover 3 situation, because if you hear the story about Hangover 3, if you didn't recall, after Hangover 2, none of the guys wanted to do Hangover 3, right? So they figured that the best way for them to not do Hangover 3 was to go to the studio and ask for a ridiculous amount of money. So I believe they asked for like 20 million each to do a third Hangover movie, thinking that the studio would never agree to it, and then the studio said yes. So it was like, well, all of a sudden, guess we're doing Hangover 3. Mike, what do you think about this?
I don't know. I'm being totally distracted by my son talking behind me. So I remember Neve Campbell from Party of Five, and I think I only ever watched the first Scream movie because, like you guys were saying, why would you have a sequel to that?
Right.
It didn't make sense to me. So I don't think I ever watched any of the other ones. As for the issue, what the issue really is this freaking upcoming generation of kids have no clue about history or about Islam or about any of the things that are important in the world, and so they just go along to get along with all the media bullcrap that tells them, the media says, Ukraine, okay, freaking I know we're not talking about Ukraine, but you know what I'm saying, right? Yeah. You get the leftist narrative, they get that poured down their throats, they're in Hollywood, so that's already the world they're seeped in. And then, yes, this is the monster that you have to deal with, because the people with the money in Hollywood, they don't agree with that line, which to me is kind of this ironic, like, bombshell. It's so funny that, like, they've raised up all these little Hitlers, and then now they're shocked that they're turning around and saying that, Israel should, from the river to the sea. It's like,
so this is the funniest part too, because
the bed you made, guys.
Exactly. This is 100% Hollywood's fault too. Like I'm not even throwing like these two dum-dums completely under the bus, because here's what's going on. Hollywood has essentially bred this whole, like Mark was saying earlier, you guys have bred all this division that's going on in this country right now. Like, you guys have helped pretty much assist to us getting to where we are right now. So you have these two dum-dums who are looking at the Israel-Palestine conflict not from the center of what it actually is, a holy war between Jews and Muslims. They're looking at it from the perspective of, well, the Palestine people are brown and the Israel people are white, so clearly the brown people are the good guys and the white people are the bad guys, so I'm going to stand with the brown people. And then, of course, the Hollywood executives, who are all Jewish and most of them are pro-Israel, are sitting there like, why are you guys siding with Palestine over us? Don't you guys? And then they start trying to blacklist people and keep people out of town for having the wrong opinion about this, saying that you guys are the ones who bred these dum-dums to begin with. You're the ones who made these people. They're not looking at this as a holy war. They're looking at this from a racial perspective of brown versus white, and we're going to side with the brown because that's what you guys have been telling us for the last several years. When it comes to this country here in the United States,
it's oppressed or oppressed.
Exactly.
Right.
When it comes to this country, it's brown people oppressed, white people are the oppressor, and that's what you guys have been pushing for so many years. But when it comes to Israel, all of a sudden, oh no, hold the brakes. We need to understand there's more context to this story.
Well, first, I mean, I've already offered a long time ago the perfect solution. How to write these two characters off. Have them go to Palestine and then have like the Islamic ghost face blow them up. As they're waving their queers.
They get jihaded. They get jihaded in like Iran.
Think about it. They're marching through Gaza.
What movie cliche is that?
Gaza, and they have their queers for Palestine flag. And then they just get blown
no,
up.
this would be better. No, you put them back in New York, and they get killed in a terrorist attack, which is used to protest the war in Israel. So they get killed by their own cause. Like, if you really want to go all in on it.
There you go. Look, for this, first off, I think I saw up to Scream 2. I don't even remember if I saw Scream 3. This story has to end. I agree with Orange Hat. I mean, maybe at this point, I think everyone wants Sydney killed because we're just tired of this whole franchise. Why do we need another one? We didn't need a Scream 5, a Scream 6, or a Scream 7. but people keep going to these things. I think what Scream 6 was very successful financially, and it wasn't because it had a diverse cast. It because it was riding the coattails of a long-standing series or things that people knew about. But there's no real interest for this. Bless Neve Campbell though, in that she was shrewd enough to get the paycheck and like just say, yeah, you know what, you thought you could do without me, well now you need me, so pay up. Good for her, to take the money. I guess, we were talking about John Cena. He doesn't care if he's humiliated. Neve Campbell is like, well, you know what? I don't know if I need the money, but I'll take it, so I can cash in on your stupidity and your arrogance. Yep. This is what happens when you try to be smarter than everyone else. It doesn't work. But really, I don't think why. I mean, what? I can't even think of how they're going to tie her in after they dumped her for like 2 movies.
She was in.
You know what Scream is for? Scream is for people who were too young to watch Scooby-Doo, because it's the exact same thing.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like we watch Scooby-Doo. It's like you got your meddling kids at the end of the movie, or in this case, the episode. It's you unmask the killer. It's Mr. So-and-so. You know what I mean? It's just the same thing. But for these kids, it's all new to them.
But you know what? It's not.
Dog.
It's not any good. This version's not any good without Mama Cass as a guest star.
Oh my God, Mama Cass, get the hell out of here.
That's true. And the Harlem Globetrotters didn't show up.
And the Harlem Globetrotters.
And Don Knotts.
Batman and Robin.
Mr. Hurley needs to come back.
Phyllis Diller.
Oh, they could do the Addams Family.
See, that would be a lot better. I would actually enjoy a Scream Addams Family crossover. That would actually kind of work out.
The Three Stooges.
Yeah, the killer trying to kill the Addams Family and end up accidentally killing himself through sheer freaking will of the Addams Family just moving out of the way at the right time.
Oh yeah. The Addams Family would get rid of Ghostface and see him more as like a long lost cousin.
No, he'd be their pet. Ghostface would be their pet.
Yeah, he'd be the Gimp from Pulp Fiction.
Nice.
We don't need more Scream films, but the fact that they keep making them is bad enough. Now, but Neve Campbell's going to cash in. All I can say is good for her. Good for her.
This is what Neve Campbell's hearing right now.
Here comes the money.
What is she hearing? I didn't see it or hear it.
Yeah,
he played Money by Shane. He played. Yeah.
Here Comes the Money by Shane O'Mac. That's what we're playing. Any final thoughts on this story before we wrap things up here for tonight?
I like to point out that the 2 girls have no guts whatsoever, and I like to point out that do it the way that the guys at the Oscars did it, and do it in front of everybody. Throw it down as hard as you possibly can in front of everybody. And if you're going to make that stand, don't cower behind, some sort of a corporate structure to, hold you accountable to what you're trying to do. So,
well, I mean, the girl lost
those boys. Those boys held Marlon Brando's legacy tight. I was so proud of them.
That girl lost her job because she did take a stand. So her stand might be wrong, but that's fine. It's an interesting contrast between what we started with and where we're ending, because John Cena obviously folded like a cheap deck chair, and then what's her face,
Neve Campbell
folded like a cheap whore.
Barbara Melissa, yeah.
No, the one from 50 Shades of Grey.
Dakota Johnson.
Yeah, it's like the opposite. It's like 2 ends of the spectrum. You're going to get a lot fewer Dakota Johnsons who know that you're standing up against a river. An entire industry of people, right? Versus,
and you don't have to not to agree with any of them, but it's like Charlie Sheen. Charlie Sheen went up against the Beast and went, "Hey, come on, pay me my money, if you're going to swallow me." And if Neve Campbell's going to do the same thing for the Scream franchise, all power to her. I'm good for her.
And Charlie Sheen raped Corey Haim.
Allegedly, but probably.
Allegedly.
But you know, at this point, I just wonder, like, with why doesn't Sydney just like move to another country or have 24-hour protection? Because it's just getting so old now. They're always trying to kill them, and with Courtney Cox, they're always.
Well, the
trying to
problem
kill
is because they have to keep this stupid franchise going. Is like they need to be like a new killer and a new justification. So she's already killed like the 8 people in her life that were trying to kill her for legitimate reasons. So now you just have like these weirdo fans be like, "Oh, we love the original so much. Now we're gonna try to kill you like they were." Like none of this stuff makes any sense. Like they only did these movies like literally the second Wes Craven died because they know that he was probably gonna oppose them doing any more Scream film movies. So it's like, oh, let's wait till this old guy croaks and then we can do whatever we want.
Yeah, but at a certain point, you need to retire this.
Oh, well,
hopefully
I
this is the
that's
last
part of the reason
one.
I just don't care about stuff like this. It's like, oh, it's like Jaws 19 from Back to the Future, right?
Right.
Yeah, this probably is a good thing that what was it? Is it Friday the 13th is still like held up by like lawsuits or whatnot, and that's why we haven't got like a Jetty and Freddy and Jason movie in a while. So maybe that's for the best.
Yeah, and I've never seen any of them.
Of course you haven't. Let's go ahead and wrap things up there with that note. Thank you guys for joining me here for this show. I'm going to go ahead and give you guys some of the floor here so you guys can promote any projects you got going on. CJ, seems like you're working hard on a project right now. Don't you have something that you'd like to promote to the fans?
No, just my website. Buy my books. There you go. Done. So.
You were just like the worst marketer.
Okay, I will say like in the last couple of weeks, okay, a big platform has been trying to grab more authors' rights to their IPs and stuff, and they've loosely structured their terms of service so they could potentially take all my work and make more of my work, but I'm with like AI and stuff. So I've had to move all of my stuff onto my own site and gradually. Yes, so that's exactly what I've been doing for the last 2 weeks, and I have a lot of books. If you never bought one, so
yeah, so that sounds like a pain in the ass.
Buy CJ's books.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, and it's not fun. So I mean, like the distributor that did that, they made up like half my sales last year. So if I take everything down, I don't have anything to replace it with.
All right.
So,
well, yeah, go buy her.
That's what I'm doing. So buy my stuff and make me feel a little bit better.
Go out there and send for the woman, guys. Do it. Yeah.
Well, I just made me feel a little bit better as I'm moving everything over to my own website, so people will like buy it to there. And I, for one thing, it's nicer because like there are other platforms too that if I pulled my book off of it for some reason, or like I died and all of them went away, the distributors can actually get on your devices that you have them downloaded on and remove them from you. And this way, like if you buy it straight from me, you don't have that issue. So it's better if you can buy direct. And that's kind of like my soapbox off, my soapbox speech of the night. Is
buy direct and buy physical.
Yes, buy direct, buy physical, and always have a contact email or phone number from somebody that you do that with. In the black, like the only way that you're ever going to get any kind of integrity again. So,
alrighty then, Rick, what you got coming up?
Just more reviews and the magical Negroes, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
All right then, Orange, what you got coming up?
Well, I have my March theme streams, which are the 1s versus 2s. Today I did The Shining versus Dr. Sleep. Kind of botched that stream up a little. Also, tomorrow I'm on Jade Shadow's channel for the 1s and 2s, which we're going to be talking Leprechaun 1 and 2 this month. Next week is Leprechaun 2. Then Thursday is the singles, where she's on my channel, and we are going to be talking about 13th Warrior. And then next week is 47 Ronin. Friday is Orange Hat Uncensored, where you can hear me talk political category or topics and whatnot with Janet from Another Planet, Rob from Dick's Division, and Ruben Haynes. And Sunday I do the Hollywood recap, where I cover 4 stories that are important by some measure that I believe people need to hear about. And Tuesday nights, I'm here.
All right then, Eddie. I know you got stuff you're working on.
Oh yes. I like to point out. Oh, what am I working on? Oh yes. Well, over on fandompulse.com, where you can get the best pop culture news you can possibly find on the internet and the most trusted name in it. We are covering overloading completely on the Sweet Baby Inc. controversy and trying to break apart this brand new Gamergate 2.0 that we're going to be starting pretty soon. Apparently, we're going to. I did 3 articles on it. Both got picked up by some heavy hitters. So yeah, check that out. Also, we covered comics. We just covered the Yara trailer and the big giant success story that campaign just put through. And yeah, like I said, just come by fandompulse.com. Pop culture news, best of the business.
All right, Michael Miller. Thank you for joining us for our show here. I know it's late over there on the West Coast, where it's not even 9 o'clock over there.
Mike, we're not going to sleep yet.
I got not much to promote. I don't think the audience really cares about cryptocurrency, but I launched my own, PepeTrump.io. It's Pepe and Trump put together. I've been doing some really fun animations. If you want to see them on my Twitter, that's Mike S. Miller Art on Twitter. Otherwise, I mean, if you want to come watch a bunch of artists goof around and draw every Wednesday night, 7:00, we do story time and drawn and quartered. We've been doing that for 6 years now, more or less. It's just I don't really do YouTube for a while I was doing Unapologetic American, but I don't know, man. I just got so busy, and I don't want to be a YouTuber. Sorry.
Well, hopefully we get you back on there for one of our Bible Lens discussions here over the last few weeks. We have some good ones. So
I don't want to be a YouTuber, but I do love to discuss stuff. So I do this for fun. So I jumped in here for fun. I do my show for fun. It's all for fun because.
Well, when YouTube kicked me off last year, I decided I'm too important for them. So
that's called coping, baby. That's what we all have to do. So, Mark,
you gotta lie to yourself, but at some point, so might as well be about the important things.
Mark with a C. Thank you for joining us for another night here. What do you have coming up, my friend?
Hey man, thanks for having me on. It's fun to be back, and I really do appreciate that. Want to give a birthday shout out to myself tomorrow, and also
what am I give us a on? Number or
no? And also, what I'm working on more than anything right now is my son is in the other room who's taking advantage of me being on here to be up later than he should. And I got an email from his teacher talking about he was falling asleep in his first period in class. So I'm going to click off right now so I can go put my foot up. So I can go make sure he goes to bed the way he
have
should.
A stern talking to YouTube. That's what he meant to say.
Yes. Have a verb talking to.
Beat that child proper.
And peace out, man, to everybody, to the chat. Much love to everyone.
It was nice.
Good to see you.
Thank you very much, Mark.
Night, dude. Good seeing you.
Later.
Let you know what I got coming up tomorrow night will be the 01 podcast. Myself, Spencer, and Cider will be talking about the big issues of the week. I know there's a few things that we didn't get to cover today. I know Daisy Ridley had a situation. In fact, she's not getting any work. I think we'll play up on that tomorrow. Obviously, a lot of things with Sweet Baby Inc. we'll talk about. There's also some very troubling movie news coming out. I think you might have heard that the showrunner for X-Men 97 got fired weeks before its release. So we'll probably cover that tomorrow night and a few other topics. That's on the Bounding in the Comics YouTube. This Friday night, Rick will be back with me and Rob, and we'll be covering 3 movies. Rick is going to be doing the Magical Negroes film. Rob is going to be doing Arthur the King, and I'm going to be doing the Kirsten Stewart lesbian movie. So that should be a bad experience for all 3 of us. So that's coming up on the Friday Night Movie Club this Friday night. This coming Monday, I'll be finishing my 2-week series on how Nephilim have essentially influenced the entire world. And people like to say that, oh, I can't believe in God because there's no evidence he actually exists. You guys literally go to movies that cost $300 million at the theater that are based on the idea of Nephilim actually existed on the world. And I'll explain to you in perfect texture how this whole came about. If you haven't seen part 1, we talked about it in a historical sense. Go check it out. It's stream is up on YouTube and on Rumble as well. And then next week we'll be back here, episode 91 of the Barroom podcast. So for everyone who joined us here tonight, our good buddy Neo Zoe has the rundown. Society, obviously that's me. Orange, Mark, Mike, Eddie, Johnson, Rick, Dante, Dobafett, Alex, Evil, Vanya, Drax, Kate, Josh. Hold on. Do you have something that you were trying to show here real quick?
Yeah, this is what I was working on the whole time we were talking.
Just look at your EFT.
Mike, for what it is, I've been running a lot of your stuff. I've been running your really rough stuff through AI, and it's been really, really fun.
Oh, cool! I'd love to see it.
All right.
Yeah, so I've been getting into animating just kind of for giggles and
just for fun.
Yeah. And so while I was on here, I was like, I need to add cigarette smoke to this dude's cigarette. So I was just doing that. That's what I added.
So this is the original version of that new Planet of the Apes movie?
Yes, this is the sequel.
Make sure you get royalties for this.
This is when the after the Planet of the Apes, they all start going to college.
Right. This is Dr. Zayas. This is Dr. Zayas, the college years.
Yeah.
Real quick. Kate, Josh, Assassin, Maurice, Rooftop, Spencer, Cassie, Lorenzo, all you guys in the chat. Keith over there on Rumble as well. Thank you guys for joining us for this night. We're gonna go ahead and sign off and get the hell out of here. But we're gonna do a special outro here. I'm not gonna play the outro you guys are used to because we spent so much time talking about John Cena. Let's go ahead and play the John Cena theme song as we get out of here. Good night, everyone. We'll see you guys later. Goodbye.
Making his way to the ring from Shanghai. Insane guys. John Cena showing hustle, loyalty, and respect. No telling how long he'll be able to keep this up. No one in the history of WWE has done for the ring, but outside the ring.